We're back here on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. And as you can hear, if you're a regular listener, my voice is still trashed. It's a little bit better. My throat is a little bit better, so it won't hurt so much this time. But I do have that, I don't know, I want to say that deep, sexy voice, but I'm not sure it's one of those or not the other. But we're going to have a great time here on the Gill Connections podcast, uplifting and honoring coaches from around the country. And we're going to go more towards my home area. We're going to go to the Southeast, my neighbors. You know, I grew up in Alabama. We're going to go to my neighbors over here in Georgia. Help me welcome from Lithia Springs High School in the beautiful state of Georgia, the wise, the wonderful Mr. Kyle Jones. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Man, I am excellent, fabulous, blessed, and always, man. How are you, sir?
Well, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sipping my tea. So I'm trying to get better here. I don't know what in the world wrecked me over this past week. I think it actually was allergies that turned into like some kind of sickness. But I went to the doctor. Are you a big? I'm not a big going to the doctor
No.
hospital. Yeah, same. I don't know if it's a guy thing or what, but I'd rather not. But I finally went Friday night. I was just feeling horrific after work on Friday. And I go, and when I've gone in the past, they've given me a thing called a Z pack. I don't know if you ever heard of
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah, I don't know what that really is, but it's always helped. So I go there, do the song and dance, check my temperature and all that stuff, and expecting, get a Z pack and go home. I'll feel better by the time I wake up on Saturday for college football. I guess whatever they thought I have or had or didn't have, no Z pack. She basically told me to go home and suck it up. I'm not kidding. She's like, take some cough medicine, take some Tylenol. And I was like, man, I can't breathe. My nose, it was terrible. And I literally got my wife basically just, suck it up, buttercup is what I got.
Yeah.
That was my prescription.
I think I had that a couple of weeks ago, ironically. The exact same symptoms. And my wife she had it as well. And we had this, prolific cough that would not go away.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, what is this? I didn't feel sick, but I
Mm.
felt like not great.
Right, right.
And we ended up doing some spoonfuls of organic honey
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and a few tea baths on the
Yep.
throat, but we're fine.
Yeah, I took something called DM or something like that. Like,
DM.
yeah, what was it called? I've never heard of it before. It's kind of it looked like a cough medicine type, but it was more thicker.
Mm,
So I did that, finished that out today, and a couple of Mucinex, which didn't help at all. My nose, especially my left side, I mean, literally just blocked up, like could not breathe. I mean, just that was the worst part. It's finally starting to open up a little bit, and then the
yeah.
throat hurt real bad. Anyway, this is not a medical podcast. Thank goodness, by the way, that it's not. We're here to learn more about you, my friend. I'm really
Sure.
excited about this. We meet people in different ways in society, right? And especially in our sport and our profession. We may meet through track clinics. We may meet through track meets. We may meet through doing business, etc., things like that. But one of the ways I truly love meeting people, because I love accentuating the positive part of it, is through social media. And my friend here, Kyle Jones, and I have been, I don't know how long, I meant to look to see how long we've been connected on Twitter, but he is one of those guys. If you know me on Twitter, you know my style on Twitter. He might beat me, actually. He is one of the more funny, positive, prolific tweeters out there, and that just, if you know me well enough, that's attracted to me. I like people who do positive things in this world. So before we even get started in your story, man, I just want to know, like, is that an intention for you? Like, do you think about social media of like, oh, I'm gonna go put positive into this world, or is this just like a organic, like I just pick up my phone and just do things, Mike? It's just who I am.
No, I don't intentionally do anything on social media, which is weird, right? My wife says, "You're so connected to people," and I'm just like, I'm just being me.
Yeah.
And so typically whatever comes up comes out. I do try to filter it as with the negativity, and I do believe in spreading some form of positivity. There's enough trash out there. I have my days, right, where I'm like, oh, I can't believe, especially when it comes to the New York Giants. Jeez, they drive me crazy, right? And then just with sports in general, but for the most part, I'm just out there to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I look at it like this, that the more positivity you could put out there, maybe it's a smile on somebody's face, maybe to help them get through that day. You just never know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
And I live my life like that. It's not just a tweet, or I'm not just on IG, I'm not just on Facebook, trying to make people laugh. I'm literally more than likely, if I post something that is funny to other people, I'm already laughing at it myself. So I'm one of those weird people that make you, I make myself crack up, and I'm
Love
like,
it.
oh, I got to share this. This has got to be funny to somebody else, right?
I
I
love
don't know.
that. I bless that because I understand. So I always say I'm an advocate of social media, and that's because throughout history, everything new has always been the devil, that it's going to ruin society. It's what they said
Mhm.
about radio when it first came out. It's what they said about cars, by the way, when it first came out. TVs, obviously the internet, obviously social media, all that was going to ruin society, young kids, et cetera, et cetera. And certainly all of those things have been used in bad ways in some form or fashion, although a lot of those things have been used in good ways. And that's what I like to focus on with social media. It's like certainly there are bad actors on social media, and you can say more on Twitter than the other. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It has its issues, but to me, it's always, and we were touching on this a little bit before we hit the record button today, is the only way, in my opinion, to get rid of dark is to be light.
Right.
So like it kills me, it pains me when I see someone say, "Hey, I'm leaving Twitter," whether they're going to go somewhere else or not, but they're leaving Twitter and they're a positive person. It's like, oh man, you just allowed the darkness to win more. Like we
Right.
need you. Like Carl Lewis, very love his stuff. And he got fed up with Twitter and said, "I'm just going to stay on Instagram." And I was like, "Oh, Carl, but we need you. Like we need positive role models and people of positive minds on this site." And yes, I know you get beat down, especially a guy of such a high profile as him. You get beat up constantly, but I guarantee he's getting beat up on IG too. It's just
Mhm.
sadly people think the anonymity of social media and the internet is what saves them. And it's like, man, someone's watching you, even if you think you're anonymous. Someone knows what you're doing, and that's not a good thing. So I love you being you and keeping that positivity and staying true to yourself on that, man. That to me is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell this, Carl, hope he jump back on. But I tell you, if you learn how to use that block button and that mute button, man, it just saves your life.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. On one hand, I immediately wanted to say I agree 100%, and I certainly have blocked my fair share of some accounts out there. Um, but however, I don't want to be in an echo chamber either, right? Like
Mhm.
even in just our vertical of track and field, there are certainly people that I'm like, oh man, I don't want to see your stuff
Right.
anymore. But then I'm also like, oh, I also want to see what both people are thinking. Not that I agree,
Right.
not that I would amplify it, but it's like, man, I also kind of want to know who not to pay attention to in real life. Like, oh, if I ever run into that person, I've seen what they tweeted. I don't, I don't need to necessarily be hanging out with them. So I don't know. It's a tough world. I think protecting your network both on social media and in real life, I think is extremely important, and that's what I love about this podcast is I get to surround my network with great people like you, man. And so I'm excited to learn your journey and to share your journey with our listeners. So let's hop right into it, man. Let's get in our Wayback Machine here. Kyle, assuming you were an athlete, track had to start for you somewhere. Now, that's a big assumption. We know we've had plenty of great coaches on here who are not athletes, but ultimately, tell us, where does track and field, the sport, where does track and field start for you?
So track started in two places for me.
Okay.
I know this sounds weird. So there's a stutter step, and then there was an actual beginning. And the stutter step started in fourth grade, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And I went to school in Philadelphia, where my hometown, right?
Okay.
And we were in gym class. And do you remember the they used to make you to jump over the bars back in the day, like this one single bar to see who could jump the highest?
Yes, yes, yeah. I never made it over, but yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, I was quite the opposite.
Okay.
I actually jumped the highest out of everybody at the school. Now I'm in fourth grade, and they only let fifth graders compete in track and field.
Oh.
And so my mom's like, she comes up to the school and she's like, "You're gonna let my kid on the team. He beat everybody at the school. He's the best jumper here."
Oh, dude.
And so she advocates for me, and I get out there to the track, and I'm not jumping yet. They're like, "Hey, you got to run." I'm like, "What's running?"
Yeah, wait,
Right?
I just jump, right?
I just jump, right? And these girls are beating me around the track, and I said, "I don't like this." And
Okay.
so my mom got mad because she was like, she did all this
I was gonna say
advocating.
she fought for you. Right, right, right.
And I just was like, nah, I don't want to do this. So fast forward, we move over to Jersey. This is how I became a Giants fan, by the
Yeah, I
way.
was gonna ask about that actually. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, people will go, how are you a Philadelphia
Yeah,
hometown? And then
yeah.
yeah, I grew up in half my life in Jersey.
Okay.
So I spent time there. But so I end up in this place, this little t small town called Pennsauken.
Hmm.
It's in between Cherry Hill and Camden.
Yep.
That's where people like, I don't know where that is, right? So people know Cherry Hill and Camden.
Right, right.
And I'm in there in middle school, and my gym teacher in eighth grade He used to make us run a lap every day before gym. This is when kids played outside, right?
Right, right.
And me and one of my closest friends, we would race every day,
Nice.
just trying to get around. And I could never beat him. He was always fast at that time. That's another story, by the way. That's going to be a fun story later on if we
Okay,
can get
good.
to that.
Yep.
And so my gym teacher, Mr. Collins, he goes, "Hey, you've got a nice stride. I think you should run track." I said, "Thank you, Mr. Collins." Question, what's a stride? Right. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Hey, that's a great example, though. Sometimes we say things to kids and we know it because we just live it and we think they know it and they have no idea what we're talking about. That's so funny. That's
Right.
awesome. What's a stride?
Right. He's like, "Yeah, you got a gauge stride." I'm like, "Huh? What's a stride?" And so he said, "You should come out for track." I said, "Okay, what's track?" I'm still clueless at this point, right?
So,
I knew
so
I had,
yeah, I was like, so you didn't from back in fourth grade, didn't like start loving track or, paying attention to
no.
track. You just like, oh, that was one blip and move
Yeah.
on. Okay.
I didn't really understand
Okay.
what it fully was.
Hmm.
I just did not pay attention to it like that.
Right.
And so we get out there and I try out for the track team and I make it. And that year I went undefeated in the 100-meter dash. We won the
Dude.
4x1, I won the high jump, and I won the long jump.
Dude.
And so I was like, this is kind of fun. I'm kind of good at it.
Winning's fun.
And enjoyed it so much so that when we went into high school, I just stuck with it, and I fell in love with the sport that year because I was
Right.
running with my best friends.
Yeah.
We were having the time of our lives, and it just became a joy for me to want to get better and better. And it really wasn't about the wins; it was just about being out there with my closest friends, and we just had a ball.
Any other sports during high school?
During high school, yeah. So I tried 2 years of football.
Hmm.
I was terrible, by the way. Yeah. And the only reason I even tried football is because the football coach saw me practicing for track and field
Right.
during the summer. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty fast. You come out." Now, granted, that was a pretty good coverage corner. I couldn't catch worth the darn.
Hmm.
And then they tried to play me at running back, and I couldn't remember any of the plays. So I was not very good at it. So
So
then I did
stuck
2 years
stuck
of
to
cross country.
track. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
did a year of cross country, which I absolutely, it was no, no way.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, for a guy who in fourth grade was like, "What is this running stuff?" and now cross country, you could not have enjoyed that.
No, I did not. And it was horrible. We had a pretty good couple of runners on our team, but Wayne, my closest friend, he was like a 17-minute cross country guy.
Yeah.
Pretty decent, right? And then we had this girl, and she was like a 17 or 18-minute girl. I
Oh
was like, oh,
wow.
yeah. I just remember her name was Veronica, but she went flying past me one time. They ran like a co-ed race. I was like, oh my goodness, this girl's flying. It's like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
not for me.
Holy.
Yeah.
Um, so talk to me about high school track and field. Do you fall in love with it? Now you say it's interesting. I want to unpack this a little bit. You said it wasn't about the win. You were winning a lot. And we tend
Yeah.
to know that, winning is fun, right? And being
Right.
shown like you have value. I remember I tell this story every once in a while. Back in it was probably episode, I don't know, 50, 80, maybe 100, somewhere around there. We had the great triple jump king, Willie Banks on the podcast.
Mm,
And, Willie, amazing, great storyteller, first of all, but,
yeah.
tells his story of when he was young. I want to say middle school. I'm probably butchering it here a little bit. Go back and listen to the episode with Willie Banks. It's amazing. But he talks about he got like eighth place or something. He did not win in the triple jump, but he got eighth place like in his first competition, and they gave him a ribbon. It actually kind of made me rethink the whole, everybody gets a trophy kind of
Hmm.
thought philosophy. He gets a ribbon, and he goes, Mike, he goes, that was the first time like someone told me like I was good at something, like I could be good at it. I got a
Right.
ribbon for eighth place, and that really kind of was a big blast off for him to go become the world record holder and gold medalist and all these other things. And it really like it was but the real or lesson I think of the story was like, oh, young people sometimes we're always crapping on them a lot of times as adults, by the way. And here is some time where you go out and win or are told, hey, good job, like you're our best 100-meter guy. And
Right.
there's a like some self-esteem as I mean, you went to high school. High school's tough for boys and girls, man.
Yep.
Here's something that you're being told you're good at. So, but you said it was more about like, oh, I liked improving. Like I loved going from 12 seconds to 11 and a half and 11 and a half to 11.1, et cetera, kind of like that. Tell me more about like where did that mindset come from then?
I don't know. where it developed from. I just know that when I was younger, I just always wanted to be better. I grew up in a really tough neighborhood called I don't know if you ever heard of Fairmount Park.
Hmm.
It's in Philadelphia. It's right near the zoo. And so the area, I hate to say it like this, but it's that park is known as, I'll call it like this, 187 Park. You kind of
Hmm.
fill in the
Yep,
blanks on
gotcha.
that, okay?
Hmm.
Very dangerous part of town. And so we were always striving for more.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I just always had this growth mindset. I just wanted to get better. It didn't matter what was needed to be done. I just wanted to do it. And when I'm engaged with something, I can be like a pit bull, right? If I've got a latch on, I'll just latch on to whatever it is in front of me, and I'll just go and go and go and go and work to improve. And I just knew, and I'll tell you, this is a fun story too. Um, Again, my closest friend, the one that we used to
Hmm.
race every gym class, he ran track too.
Hmm.
And so I'm winning in the 100 and the long jump and the high jump and all, the 4x1. And so I asked the coach to put me in the 400. Like, who does that, right?
Yeah, right.
What short sprinter says put me in the
Yeah,
400?
yeah.
It's because I wanted to try something new to try to push myself because I was already winning in a lot of stuff. And I was like, I
Wow.
want to try something different, something I've never done before.
Yeah.
And my best friend, he's one of my closest friends, one of my best friends. And he goes, we end up in the same heat together. And at the time, I didn't know what a heat was, by the way. So we just ran, but I didn't know how to run it. And then I'm winning for about 200 meters as expected. And
Right.
then we get to the last 100 meters and he goes blowing by me. Pew! And I'm like, wait, what just happened? And so he kind of, this is weird. He kind of walks across the finish line and kind of sags his pants and looks at me like, yeah, this is my
Yeah, as
territory.
we on here, yeah.
I said, okay. And that began the battle, right? And so every year we would try to kick each other's butt through high
Yeah.
school and see who would end up at the end of the year with the fastest time in our crossover race. Because I ran the
Right.
1 and 2, he ran the 4 and 8.
Right.
And so we would go, oh, he ran the 8 in the mile. We would meet in the 400
Nice.
and go, all right, let's go, buddy. Let's see who
Yeah.
has the fastest time.
I do like, speaking of your friend there, you mentioned you guys raced every day and you're like, I didn't beat him. He was better than me. But
Yeah,
you didn't quit. You didn't because
yeah,
you weren't winning, say, you know what, why don't we change the race or something? You're like, all right, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm getting better every time. But so you did kind of exhibit that a little bit from a younger age of like, all right, it's not necessarily about winning. I'd like to win. Everybody likes to win.
yeah.
But I'm gonna continue to get better.
Yeah, it was, I love competition. And that's the draw for me. That's the love. Like the whole trophies and all this stuff. I don't care about it.
Right.
I really enjoy the journey. Like I fell in love. When people say fall in love with the process,
Hmm.
I literally am in love with this process of figuring out how to be the best you can be in track and field, which is,
Right.
how I live my life, but also how I coach and stuff. We'll get into that. But then also, I got to mess with him a little bit here. It took me 3 years to really finally beat him in a head-to-head race,
Yeah.
right? And that was invigorating. Like that was
Yeah.
but that first started when we had to race off for a 4x4 spot.
Mm.
And so I had never beaten him before in an open race. It was junior year, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I want this spot. And so I beat him and took it. And then we ended up winning the state championship in a 4x4.
Wow.
I never looked back after that. He hasn't beat me since.
Wow. I love it. I love it. What was, for a guy who likes the process, and I love that. That's, something that we strive for our athletes all the time, right? Like, don't worry about the results necessarily. Fall in love with the process, and the results will come. What kind of relationship did you have with high school coach?
Oh man, listen. And I'm gonna try not to get teary-eyed here,
Hmm.
because let me tell you, I coach the way I do because of my high school coach.
Hmm.
Um, one of my high school coaches was Albert Esselfy.
Okay.
He's now the sprint coach at Rutgers University.
Oh, nice.
Um, Coach Al, let me be respectful here. Coach Al was like a father for me. Um, I don't know that I would have graduated high school if it had not been for him.
Oh, wow.
I definitely don't think I would have ever attended college if it had not been for him. He took time, he was patient, he was fair, but he was straight up, no chaser, right? In a way that I could receive it. And he ultimately helped me to believe in my capabilities.
Mm,
And I just wanted to be around him with and track and field as much as I could because, it was what manhood was for me.
mhm,
And so when Coach Al, came, everything just changed. I love the sport. I've always, loved the sport since middle school. But when he came, I really fell in love with the sport, like deeply. It was just, he was such an exponential um, figure in my life. Like he magnified
mhm.
track and field for me, but also what it meant to be present and what it meant to be a support system for other people.
Wow. When you say he came into your life, did he come in sometime in high school or right off the bat as freshman?
No, he came in my sophomore year.
Okay. So you had
And
a
this was,
year of high school track
yes,
and all no shade to the coach before that, but then Coach Al comes in and I mean I love just listening to you explain that almost like clouds parted and you saw like, oh, when you said this is what manhood looks like that to me is a very deep and important statement.
yeah, it was for me. Growing up, it was very difficult because my dad was in the Navy. He was always gone. And so I
Mm,
really didn't see very much. I really didn't know very much. And it got tough to understand what a man should be,
yeah.
because I spent, and God bless my family. I love, we have a
Hmm.
lot of women in our family,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But it was very difficult to figure out what manhood was.
Yeah.
And so him showing up in the sophomore year, it was great. Now here's the kicker. I was actually ineligible my sophomore year for spring track because I dropped the class and went to study hall. I didn't know that I didn't have enough credits. Nobody
Hmm.
told me that, hey, if you drop this, you're going to be in trouble. All my other grades were fine, but because I didn't have enough classes, I
Right.
wasn't able to run. And we actually won the conference championship that year. But what I did was, and we beat some really great teams to win that conference championship, like Camden High and
Mm,
Woodrow Wilson. They were
mm.
all ranked in the country at that time. I mean, these kids are running like 3:15 in the 4x4. Like
Wow.
these guys are rolling, right? Um, Scott McCray and all the Albert Newkirk, all these great guys, great athletes from New Jersey, right? And so I was ineligible, but what I did was I said, Coach, I'm not disappearing. I'm going to practice and I'm going to be the team manager. And
Wow.
yeah, so I stayed out there and I made sure we had water every day. I made sure our athletes, they were
A-
stretched.
and you were really good as a freshman.
Yeah, I was on the varsity team as a freshman.
Uh, So, I mean, that strikes me. I'm just a little bit of stereotyping of, young people here a little bit, but here's a kid who, varsity is a freshman, like things are going well for you. Sophomore year, because of this weird technicality, you're not on the team. You could have, like, no one would have judged you if you just said, I'll see you guys next year, or hey, I'm gonna practice with you, but I'm not gonna be able to do the meet. To actually like humble yourself and be the team manager. I mean, that
Yeah,
that seems a little opposite of what we think about with young people. Here as a 15-ish year old kid that you would say, hey, I'm going to help out. I'm still part of the team. I can't race on the weekends.
right. And that's all it was for me. It's being around again. Coach Al was there. I wanted to be with him,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to be with my teammates because I absolutely love my team. They were great, and it just was like, all right, well, this is an obstacle. That doesn't mean I can't practice to get better because I could run. I couldn't run with the team, but I could get the workout, and I would just work out, and I would
Yeah.
practice on my own sometimes. And I just was like, all right, well, I'm gonna be the best person I can be for this team
Wow.
here. And I had one teammate who was a football player at the time, and he goes, "Man, why are you here?"
Right.
I said, he said, why do you keep showing up to come here? And I said, dude, because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. And he just was like, I get it. And so that's what I did. And I showed
Yeah.
up and made sure my teammates were taken care of as best as I could.
I love that. Um, Double click into Coach Al here a little bit. I know, you spent 3 years with him, and obviously a huge impact on your life. And what I mentioned about being a teenager, being a kid is hard is exactly what you talked about with your dad being gone, being in the Navy and stuff. I mean, that's growing through life. I mean, we're I'm almost 50 years old. It's hard being a
Mhm.
16-year-old in life where you just don't know anything and you don't know nothing. It's tough. So obviously having a positive role model like Coach Al, like what a blessing that he came in your life at that time. Can you think of a story like when you think of Coach Al? There's usually like one incident story that automatically pops up, whether it's when he gave me a finger wagging or when he put his arm around me. Can you I just want to kind of really paint this full picture of this influence of Coach Al on you.
Oh man, that's so hard.
Yeah,
That's such,
you had like 10 stories pop up. You
yeah. I remember this particular moment,
Hmm.
and I probably never, he might not even remember it's happening. We were in an indoor track meet, and you ever have one of those Murphy Law days in athletics where just
Everything, baby.
everything? I mean, and we were again a pretty competitive team. And for whatever reason, from the first race when we ran a shuttle hurdle relay, I was on that too,
Oh, the
right?
best event in the world, by the way.
Oh man,
Yes.
people just don't know.
Dude, it's
Yeah,
my favorite in the whole world. Love it.
I love that event. So we were running in our one of my other buddies, he fell over the hurdle. And of course, we lost the race, obviously. And then it just
Mhm.
went downhill from there. So
Mhm.
we get to the end and we're getting ready to run the 4x4. And I mean, from batons dropping to people getting disqualified to people falling. I mean, it was just a barrage of horrible, horrible performance, I guess you could call it, right? Or just
Mhm.
mishaps, I could say.
Mhm.
Coach Al pulls me to the side. And let me throw a caveat in there as well. We didn't have our whole 4x4. One person who was on it typically ran 4 events. So one of my other best friends, he could not run on the relay,
Mhm.
which would have guaranteed us, the victory. So we had to put a freshman on
Mhm.
the team. And Coach Al pulls me to the side. He says, "Hey, listen, um, in so many words, you have to show them what leadership is all about and
Mhm.
just be the example right here. All I'm asking you for is your best. Win, lose, or draw. Just get out there and give me everything you got."
Wow.
Again, let me get teary-eyed here. And I just remember standing up to the side because I'm stretching while this is going on.
Mhm.
And I just remember saying, "I got you, coach. I got you." And we were we put the freshman on third, and I got the baton, and we were 40 meters behind first place.
Oof.
Now, mind you, this is indoor, so it's 2 laps.
Oh, right, 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 right. Yeah.
And so I just looked at him as the kids come in, and I'm just like, "Dude, come on. I don't care. Just get me the baton." See the other kid take off, and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
He's
"What do
half
you
a lap
mean?
on you.
Come on." And so I see Coach Al out of the corner of my eye, and he's just shaking his head, doing
Wow.
like, "You know what I told you. Just give
Hmm.
it to me." Short end of the stick, or short story is, ended up catching the kid.
Wow.
Yeah, from 40 meters away. And I'm telling you, I don't know how to this day I caught that kid because he wasn't
Yeah.
a slow kid.
Right.
And I just remember as soon as I crossed the finish line, Coach Al is right there to embrace me. And it wasn't the win. It was that he knew that I just gave everything I could to try to get us in that position to end
Yeah.
on a great note. And I just grabbed Coach and I just hugged him. And that stuck out to me for so long. And I can remember the race like it was yesterday. But I remember more seeing him at the finish line going,
I, you know, there's many superpowers, but one of the overarching superpowers of a track coach is they see something in other people before they see it in themselves. And I could just see, when people tell stories like that, I can't help myself, but I play like a movie in my head. So I see you as a young kid stretching and coach coming over to you and talking to you, and I see him at the when you're waiting for the baton, and you look over and catch eyes. I see him, just that confident, like, all right, I told nothing else to say, nothing else for me to yell.
right.
You either going to listen to me or not. Now it's up to you to do it, and then you go out and do that. I just love that, belief in you and knowing what you needed was probably different than what someone else in the team needed.
Mhm.
Someone else maybe needed the rah-rah speech. Someone else needed the kick you in the butt speech. You needed the, hey, this is what leadership looks like. Go go showcase, go do it, go be a leader out there. That's what you needed in that time. And he knew that. That was a superpower of Coach Al's. I can tell right there alone. He knew what each of his kids, athletes needed at that moment. I love that.
Right.
That's so cool. As you're getting a little bit older, as you're getting to, junior and senior year, we start thinking about colleges and what we're going to be when we grow up and all those kind of things. Was as you're looking, in your senior year, is coaching at all in your mindset as an 18-year-old? Eventually, spoiler alert, you become one. But are you thinking at all at that point of becoming a coach, or what are you thinking at that point?
No, as all high school athletes, you're thinking you're going to go pro,
Oh, geez.
right? Yeah, I'm watching like the '96 Olympics at one point. That's like my
Uh,
sophomore year, and I'm like, oh
uh,
my God, you get to see Michael Johnson in all
yeah,
his glory,
yeah,
which was really cool. And then of course, here's some fun stuff, man. 18 years old, um, and I think I pinged you on Twitter about this when you posted that picture of John Drummond being on
yeah.
the field
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
between 18, 19 years old and seeing John Drummond out there and Inger Miller and
yeah,
Marion Jones at the time was there. And I was
yep,
just like, man, just being on the field, it's like, oh man, I feel like I could do this. But I'm gonna tell you what Coach Al did for me
yeah.
is over the summer, I started running summer track with him,
Hmm.
sophomore year. And he essentially made me coach the 5-year-olds. So I
Oh,
would practice and then I would work with the 5 and 6-year olds. He said, all right, teach the little kids what I've taught you.
hmm,
And even I don't know if he knows remember this or not. And that's how I started.
yeah.
I was teaching the little kids how to run. And I did that every summer, for a little bit of time, and then it just became exponential once I got from college and
Hmm.
stuff.
I,
Um,
what a genius Coach Al is here, because we don't really think about this until we get older, but teaching something actually makes us better at it. Like when
yeah.
we have to, my wife is a long-term substitute teacher. She does a lot of math here lately, last couple of years, and like she knows the math more because she gets up in front of the class and actually teaches it from when she was a
Mhm.
student back in the day. And I think that was a little bit of evil genius from Coach Al, of like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
teaching you. That's cool. You're picking it up one way, the way I'm giving it to you. Now go teach it to others. And I know he just knew this, where it's like, oh, you picked it up, like, oh, that's why Coach Al told me to do that. Okay, little
Mhm.
5-year old, go try like you learned it better at a young age as a sophomore than if you were just listening to him and doing what he said. That's just the craft of coaching there, buddy. That's so smart, and I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
essentially it's the mentor-mentee relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning, but I'm also sharing. And so
That's right.
the my name, Kyle, it actually is Gaelic.
Mm,
And it means straight,
mm.
Strait,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course a strait is like a channel
Right. Right.
that
Oh, right.
things
Right. Right.
flow through,
Yeah.
right? And so essentially he walked me into the
Yeah.
history of my name is be a source that, when you receive, let it flow through you to the next
Right.
generation or other people.
Wow. That's cool. I love that. So as you're looking into going to colleges, and you talked about Coach Al being a big influence on you on that as well, what were you thinking about going in to study and talk us through that process of colleges?
I had no idea what I wanted to study. I'll be honest, dude, I really did not like school.
Yeah.
I would do the work, but so I'm overcoming, and I still work to overcome some of this. I don't know if you ever heard of auditory processing disorder.
So
It's
some with hearing or something. I'm here.
right.
Auditory.
It's
Uh-huh.
it's essentially hearing dyslexia,
Oh.
right? Most people haven't heard of it. I had never heard of it until I got to college and I realized that I was struggling with some things. It's essentially it's hard to understand complex instructions, right?
Okay.
And sometimes it's just basic instructions when it goes in one ear after the other, just have to hear it repeated. It basically gets jumbled up in your head when somebody's trying to explain
Huh.
things to you,
Okay.
which is why I'm such a OJT, like on the job training, right? I flourish in project based.
Right. Like
Like I can
actually
do it.
hands-on and
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I flow in that. But if that's an auditory lecture, I just don't get it. It's just really hard for me to catch on.
Makes
And
sense.
so, when I went in, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. But I had a buddy of mine, he was like, yeah, you might want to go into psychology. I was like, I don't know what that is, but I can look into it. And it turns out again, I did not pay attention when I was younger.
Yeah.
Not very observant, right? Uh, and so I go, all right, well, what's psychology? And I found out it's the study of the mind.
Hmm.
And I know one thing, ironically, I don't really pay attention to all the noise, but I do pay attention to people.
Mm,
And so I flourish in the study of human behavior
mm,
itself. And so it became a passion, almost like track and field. Like at this point in my life now, over decades, I can read people like a book.
mm.
Like you don't even have to say anything. I can pretty much kind of paint this picture of who you may be,
Right.
right? Just by your body language,
Mhm.
for example. And so that's how I guess I was like, okay, well, I wanted to go into maybe psychology. And so the hard part is this, um, and this is coach gave me a waggy finger on this one. I didn't do what I needed to do as much as I should have in high school to get my grades where I needed them to be because all I wanted to do was sports, sports, sports.
Mhm.
Lesson learned, and lost a scholarship to West Virginia University.
Oh.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to WV. I was supposed to go and go to West Virginia with my best friend, and couldn't get into the school.
Mm.
And had a few scholarship offers, and they all got turned down. So they all got snatched away. So I ended up at junior college,
Yeah.
running in New Jersey. Uh,
Where'd you go? Did you go to Essex County?
no, so I went to Mercer County Community
Okay.
College,
Okay.
and that was in Trenton, New Jersey. I
Hmm.
started there, and then my dad said, I can't afford to keep you up here, so you have to come back home. And I
Mm.
ended up going to Gloucester County College.
Mm. Hmm. Yep. Yep.
The hard part is, and there's two different dynamics here. At Mercer, the sprint crew up there, we would have probably ran 39 or 38 seconds in
Wow.
a four
Yeah.
by one. That's
Fast.
how we had a team.
Hmm.
So I got pulled out of that, ended up at Gloucester. So Mercer is, I'm excited, man. That was an experience because that was the first time I endured real racism.
Mm.
In Trenton, New Jersey, of all places, in Chambersburg. We stayed in Chambersburg.
Hmm.
And then we had such a very hard experience there. So I think that I got pulled out of that atmosphere divinely because it was such a terrible experience or an opportunity for a very volatile and toxic place.
Centered around, not that it matters, not that there's no excusing what I, by the way I'm asking this question,
Yeah,
around track or around the area or,
just the area.
yeah, okay, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So not
the
like,
area was
not
wild.
necessarily on track, like teammates or coaches, the area that
Yeah.
you were in there. Okay, all right,
Yeah,
got
the
it.
team was
I'm sorry
fine.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It was, I'm not sorry about it. And I'm gonna tell you why it opened my eyes to how things can be.
Mm.
And I could have let it paint my worldly picture for me
Hmm.
or give me another tool, a tool to repaint what I see and
Hmm.
use that to my advantage. Now I can express and I can help people through an experience because I've been through it,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so sometimes the trauma turns into a testimony for other people.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and obviously, it's something very personal that affected you and has affected the rest of your life. I, I say I'm sorry because I know you. I love how you expressed it, and I can appreciate that. I wish you wouldn't have had to have gone through that to be able to still have that same sentiment. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I work hard. I say sometimes. Like I don't. I'm trying to figure out how to say this here, Kyle. I don't think that I have to, me, white male here, have to experience something for me to have empathy for it. Like you hear that a lot
Right.
of times where someone goes, "Oh, that's what it feels like to for sexism," because they see something happen to their wife or spouse or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, "Oh, now I'm on the bandwagon of no sexism." It's like I don't. I'm glad you turned the leaf there, buddy. But you shouldn't have had to have had it happen to you personally
Right.
to have empathy. So I've never had racism delved at me. But I still have very much empathy towards people who are downgraded just because of the skin of their color. I don't need it to
Right.
happen to me, So I try. So that's where I'm like, man, I wish that wouldn't have happened to you, and yet still you have the empathy for the rest of your life to other people. You know what I'm saying? We can't let things that we aren't personally affected by, like just be out of our purview. Like we just don't get to like think about them. Oh, it doesn't happen to me. It's like, well,
Right.
that's not human. That's not human here, buddy. I just don't like that aspect. So
Yeah, well,
I
you know what?
appreciate that. I
I
appreciate
look
that,
at it
Kyle.
like this. There is so people say, well, you don't know what it's like and you never experienced this. Yeah, but the other side of the fence is that you know what an emotion is, right? And you know what it feels like to be neglected, for example,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or know what it feels like to not fit in or not people not want you around,
Hmm.
right? You may know what that feels like.
Hmm.
You may know um, what it feels like to be looked at as different or not
Hmm.
be included,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so those emotions are what connect us as human
That's right.
beings.
That's right.
Maybe our experiences are different and our lenses are different, our
Hmm.
traumas are different, but the emotions that help us understand another in some way are what really connect us.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter. Well, I can say it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's as important to experience it collectively. Like, I don't think everybody needs to go through that, but we
Right.
do
Right.
understand, hey, here are the emotions that could come with that. And I
Right.
can relate to those things.
Yeah. I don't have to walk in your shoes
Yeah,
to have understanding and empathy and love for you in that
exactly.
situation. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right. You have to
Yeah.
choose. You have to choose it.
That's right. That's right. It is a choice. That's exactly right. That is a choice. Okay, so Mercer, things don't work out well, but you're in an environment of track of like, holy crap, we could do something special here. We could run
Yeah.
really fast, but ultimately, cost or cost. And so, hey, we got to come back home. So you go back down home to, is it Gloucester? Is that how you pronounce it?
Gloucester,
Gloucester.
Gloucester. I
See,
said
now that
Gloucester,
I missed you.
Gloucester.
What was that experience like? Did they have track?
Yeah, they did have
They did.
track, and so I'm still in Pensacola. I'm actually staying with my mom at the time. I left my dad's place and just stayed with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
They're divorced at this time, and obviously it's some trauma there.
Mm-hmm.
But Pensacola is about a good 45 minutes to 50 minutes away from Gloucester County.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a car at the time. I'm catching three different buses
Oh
just to
wow.
get to school. So I'm on the bus at like six something in the morning just to get to class by 9 o'clock.
Right. That takes forever. Yeah.
Right. So we're riding all the way across, South Jersey at some
Mm.
point. So I'm in class, the morning, probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. I go to track practice and I'm just in there practicing as much as I could from, um, three to 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then because I have to pay to get there, I'm a dishwasher in Morristown, New Jersey. And
Right.
so I've got to catch several buses across town again. About
Oh
yeah,
man.
go and wash dishes. And I'm washing dishes from 6 to 12 or 6 to 2 in the morning.
Dude.
Yeah. And I've still got homework to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing homework on the bus or I'm doing homework right after I get off of work, wash this stuff up, and I'm back on the bus again the next day. And so that was my life for a year.
When I hear stories like that, I don't think I'm tough enough to do that. Was there ever a point of like giving up? Like in this, I can drop school or I can drop track or I don't know if you can drop work because you got to pay for it. Was there ever a time during that? It's like, man, I'm not cut out for this.
Yes. And I did
Yeah.
take a semester off
Hmm.
because it was a lot. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to be a dishwasher. I'm not going to do
Right.
this and
Yeah.
that. Um, and it just made me realize that, I've got to make something happen. And so here is where my one of my best friend's brothers, he goes, hey man, we're going down to Grambling. You should come. Now, mind you, I'm not even in school. I just hopped in the car with them.
And that's far.
Yeah, it's 20 hours away from where we
I
are.
mean, Philly to Jersey is far, relatively it's not obviously, but wait a minute. Jersey to Grambling. Did you even
Yeah.
know what or who or why Grambling was?
No, I
Like you're just like,
didn't.
oh, it's a school, I guess, in Louisiana. Did you even know it was in Louisiana?
I did know it was in Louisiana only
Okay.
because my buddy had said or my friend's brother had said, yeah, we're going down to Louisiana, we're going to Grambling. I'm like, okay, I don't know where that is. So I ended up riding with them, just hopping in the car with them, 20-hour ride. Wasn't in school,
Dude.
wasn't accepted, but um, Marvin, it was my one of my close friends' brother. He told the coach about me, and so I had a conversation with the legendary Coach Tonka Lavelle,
Mm.
Bertram Lavelle, who was
Yep.
the epitome of track and field in the SWAC and SWAC course. And so He said, "Yeah, we got some room, some scholarship money for you." And he gave me a partial scholarship to try me out. And I
Wow.
made the team. So that's how we ended up in Grambling.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially because there are so many options in the Northeast. I mean, it's one of the most
Yeah.
densely populated, therefore a lot of schools, a lot of options from all ranges, D3, D1, NAI. There's so many options up there. And you go, might as well be clear across the country. It is
It
north to
was.
south for crying out
Yeah.
loud. Wow. What
Yeah.
did you?
So
I'm always amazed because Northeast people are in Philly and Jersey, and I love Jersey. Jersey was one of my like main recruiting state when I coached
mm,
in college because it's an amazing state to be. It's terribly cold, not terribly populated. Like it's not like a New York, Florida, Texas, etc. But some of the best and toughest and fastest kids come out of Jersey. Like
yeah.
there must be like the best high school coaches in the world. The density must be really packed in Jersey because every year, not handfuls, oodles and oodles of high caliber athletes come out of Jersey, man. It's quite amazing to me. It's unbelievable. And it's not like you have a plethora of like great facilities. You have some facilities up there, but it's not like you're overcoming the cold weather because like, oh, well, all the palaces of indoor are up there. It's not true. You're outdoors on it most of the time for it's amazing to me. So you have this culture of where you're coming from, and you go to Louisiana, which has its own culture. HBCU has its own culture. I mean, not that they're the antithesis. They're not opposites. They're just uniquely
Yeah.
different. What did you think coming to Louisiana, Grambling, sweet tea, grits, bands? What did you think about that culture?
Dude, it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So obviously being in the Jersey, Philly area, you could just take a bus and you got all the stuff that you can imagine.
Not in Louisiana, buddy.
Oh my gosh. When I got to Grambling, I'm like, okay, so where is everything? They were like, this is it.
That's
Like,
great.
what?
Where is everything? Yep.
You're looking at it, buddy. And
That's
we had this
great.
running joke, like we called it Club Walmart. And so everybody would
Oh
just go
yeah.
to Walmart and hang out in
Yeah.
Ruston, Louisiana or near La
Uh-huh.
Tech.
Yeah.
And
Walmart was the place, man. Yeah.
it was. The movie theater was 35 minutes away. I was like, where am I? Marvin, what did you get me into here?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a culture shock, man. But you know what?
Oh.
One, I needed it because it settled my soul.
Hmm.
Um, and then two, I absolutely love my professors.
Hmm.
They
Tell me,
made me fall in love with education.
tell me more before we get to professors. I love that. I do want to hear about that. What do you mean when you say it settled your soul? Again, you for someone who has this auditory issue, you auditorially, you speak some really like banger quotes to me, man. I love that. It settled your soul. What's that mean?
Yeah, so before this, I was really stressed out,
Hmm.
dealing with a lot with family and needed to get away.
Yeah.
Again, this is coming off of working so long, so hard, feeling like a failure.
Hmm.
I feel like I let Coach Al down,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
sure.
all
Yeah.
that, right? Because I was like, man, I could have done this and I could have done that, and my career just wasn't what it was supposed to be,
Yeah.
or was it, right?
Right.
And it was tough for me. But when I got to Grambling, everything slowed down because Louisiana. I don't want to say that. I
No,
don't
no,
want to
it's
be
slower,
offensive.
buddy.
It is. It's a slower pace of life. And
Yes,
again, I
sir.
don't want to be offensive to anybody who's in Louisiana. And
Mhm.
I don't. There's no derogatory connotations behind it. I
Right,
promise you.
right.
It was just a slower pace because everything up north moves boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
And so it slowed my heartbeat down. It slowed my mind down. It
Mm,
slowed my spirit down. Allowed me to settle in a place where I could finally think,
mm.
and figure out what it is that I needed to do for myself.
Instead of
And
just, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm hearing instead of always reacting. That's a very, again, big swath comparisons here. Northeast, there's so much
yeah,
speed. You're reacting a lot of times. Here, you could actually stop for a beat, think about things,
right,
and then move forward. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
right.
For a guy who's lived in Chicago. and grew up in small town Alabama, buddy. Trust me, I'm with you 100%. No, no offense at all. I'm for people who take offense, it's generally people who, like in my example, Chicago and Alabama, who only have lived in Chicago and they don't know anything else. Like, what do you mean
Right.
slow down? We do our own thinking. It's like, yeah, it's not what we're talking about. And
Right.
if someone in Alabama goes, what do you mean that things are fast? We get things done. It's like, yeah, you haven't been to Chicago. It's just a cultural difference,
It
man, and
is.
it's not opposite or right or wrong. It's just it's different, and
Right.
all these things play into it. Society of like what stores, whether you only have a Walmart, theaters, 35 minutes away. There's no bowling alley, things that you just take for granted in Chicago. I can hit 10 bowling alleys within 10 miles.
Right.
It's just a difference in culture of that. So I get what you're saying there. So then you said your professors
Yeah.
really like showed a helped to teach you a love of learning.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had some really, really tough professors, and I'm in psychology at this time, and
Oh, you stuck
but
with
I'm gonna
that?
tell
Okay.
you,
Yeah. Hmm.
these professors, they were tough, but they were inspiring, right? They helped you to want to learn. Right? That's just kind of so I've got one professor, Dr. Ray Foster, rest in peace. He's like one of my favorite professors of all time. Ray Foster left Johns Hopkins University to come teach at Grambling,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And he used to work with B.F. Skinner,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, one of the world-renowned psychologists.
Yeah.
And so he's the one that's teaching me about behavioral psychology. And I went and hung out at Professor Ray's house, Foster's house. He's got a buffalo in the backyard.
Like
Like, yeah, a real buffalo,
a like a real like a live
a
buffalo.
live buffalo. Yeah,
Shut up. That was
he
his
had a real
pet?
buffalo. Yeah, it was his pet. He was doing behavioral modifications, or I guess you could call it training on the buffalo to make him basically domesticate the animal.
No.
Yeah, he did.
That's
Swear.
crazy.
Swear.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's
Wait, so
like,
you hold on. Okay, again, I'm painting this picture of this kid from Phillies, kid from Jersey, goes to Louisiana, goes to his professor house, walk back there, and is like, "Oh, that's a weird cow. What is
right.
that? And why do you even have a cow, by the way? No, that's a buffalo. And by the way, I'm trying to domesticate it." You had
Right.
to be just like, "Where am I?"
Right. Yeah, I was. I was like, what is happening right now? But it was so cool. And he said, obviously we couldn't get close to it because it was still territorial at the time, but he was
Not
working with it.
domesticated yet. Yeah.
Right. He said, don't go too close. And so that was the first time I seen a buffalo in person.
They're huge,
Uh,
right? I've never seen
oh
one.
yeah.
Maybe I've seen one at a zoo, but not like close enough to like. But all I've ever heard is like they're
Yeah,
huge.
they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
Buffalo are really big. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, if this thing charges, we're all
you're
dead.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then he had all kind of birds and cats and dogs, obviously on the inside. Birds are
Oh
flying around inside the
wow.
house. Just yeah, it was
This
wild.
was an I don't know if would you call him eccentric. This is a crazy dude, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah. He was he was very, how do I say this? Like I guess you could the best way I could analogize it or just kind of give you a visual, he was like a freed hippie.
Okay. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
He had that long gray hair that kind of just flowed. He would just be like, "Hey, what's up, man? What's up, dude?" Type of. But let me tell you, he was incredibly intelligent,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Incredibly intelligent guy. And so he was just one of my professors, man. I had another
That's
guy.
so
He was a
cool.
statistician. He was a stats professor, and he was one of the first African Americans to graduate from Harvard University,
Oh wow,
right?
dude.
Yeah, dude, I had some professors, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Holy.
you. So yeah, that's how.
I'm glad your friend said, "Hey, we're going to Grambling. Hop in."
Yeah.
Seriously, man. That's so cool. How did track go?
Not as well as I wanted it to. For
Hmm.
me, like as far as the way that I normally would have kind of pushed myself forward, right? I don't
Yeah.
know why it got tough.
Yeah.
The team was different.
Mm.
Not bad, not good, but different.
Hmm.
You know, um, where I came from in Pennsauken, there was we hung out. There was extreme camaraderie. We were always fighting for each other. And so when I got to Grambling, this was my first taste of this is more of a business than anything
Oh,
else,
interesting.
right? And Coach Tarka, I'm gonna tell you, one thing he did do was make sure his athletes graduated.
Mm,
Right? They had one of the highest graduation rates at Grambling State University, and we had one of the highest GPAs as a team.
mm,
So he ensured that we were graduating. And I guess like the synergy, it was so different for me. It
yeah,
became so difficult for me to kind of connect with people. Not that maybe anybody was doing anything wrong.
right.
I just wasn't connecting as well. I wasn't working as hard.
Yeah.
I did okay. I still ran some pretty fast times. But as far as my standard was concerned, I
Yeah.
felt like I should have done a lot better than what I did.
Hearing that story makes me not jealous, but like it makes me remark about how hard it is to get all things aligned, right? Like, so you get there and your academic life seems to be like, oh, it's rolling. You've got these
Yeah,
great professors, you're learning, like, oh man, I like to learn. Like that part of your life seems to be rolling pretty good. And then the track life, not as congruent, not screeching to a halt. It's still there, but not flowing like maybe it did in high school with Coach Al. Like it just having multiple things go well in a positive trajectory is hard.
it
Getting one
is.
thing to go in a positive trajectory is hard. So to get multiple things to line up, it just, hearing that story, it's like, man, when I see people or know of people who get multiple things going the right way, it's like, man, I hope you know how special that is because I don't think that's the norm.
Yeah.
Uh, so okay, so we hear where track is, we hear where academics is. I'm still not hearing I'm going to be a track coach. I'm still not hearing that that's in your head really.
So here's some fun stuff for you. Ready? Again, I'm not thinking about I'm going to be a track coach at this point, but because even though my track career wasn't going the way I wanted it to go in
You don't
Grambling.
think you're still going pro?
No, no, no.
Okay, God bless
Well,
you.
well,
A little.
sort of.
Yeah,
A
it's
little.
that's not ruled out.
So I'm gonna tell you why it's not ruled out
Okay, okay.
is I started to move towards the multi events.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh, that's right, because you jumped in, sprinted, even
right.
did some hurdling. Okay, okay,
And
okay.
I actually anchored the distance medley a few times in high school. Yeah,
Okay.
not very well. Let me add that.
Yes.
I was there. I could run enough to try to get us in a position. Right,
I love that. Oh, caveat, not that one.
right.
I don't
Yeah, I
want any, I
wasn't.
don't want any phone calls, guys.
Yeah. No, no. So I realized that maybe in my last year I was like, all right, well, let me try this, and I started, I felt like I could do well. Now, what's crazy about it is coach did throw me in one multi-event, like a heptathlon or something like that, or a pentathlon, one of those.
Yeah, yeah,
Heptathlon in at Arkansas State.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Famous. Yeah, yeah.
we competed out there, and I didn't know I was going to be doing the hep. He
Oh,
was just like the day before, hey, Kyle, you're doing the hep. I was like, wait, what?
what is that?
Never thrown a shot put,
Right.
never
Oh,
pole
sure.
vaulted.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I'll just score
man.
where I can. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
How
So
did you? So I I don't know. That's interesting. I have similar stories from when I coached college back in the day in the late 90s where we had sadly we had done that where we'd maybe put a kid in a position at a meet that either hadn't done the event or had not done it properly enough to be able to safely do that event. I hope that's not happening today, although I bet it is.
it is.
How did you navigate those events that you had done? Like you'd only seen, like, oh, I saw a teammate do, or I was at a meet and I saw a guy pole vault. How do you even like begin to think about what you're going to do there at the actual meet?
I just asked a question. I just went to the guys who were doing it really well, say, hey, what do I do here that's really simple that could help me?
Dude, okay, I love that because again, that shows your humility.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. You're a college athlete. You're good. You're not some slouch here. You're decent at sprints and stuff. You hold your own, and you go to all these guys who know what they're doing. At least you think they do, and go and go. Hey guys, I know nothing. What's one thing I need to know here? Like that. That shows some humility, buddy.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's easy to be like, whatever, man. I'll figure it. I don't need to talk to them. That was again. This is painting that picture of that humility side of you, Kyle. I love that. That's really cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
How did it go?
Not as bad as I thought it would have, right?
Really?
Yeah, so again, I hadn't jumped in years, but I had run and I still had a little, hurdle in me.
Yeah, yeah,
So in the result, I ended up beating our top multi-eventer on the
yeah,
team.
yeah.
by 100 points at
Yeah.
the end of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is not too bad. And I
Now
think I ended up
the
in,
bar is low, especially back then, in SWAC, in MEAX and stuff, and other conferences, by the way, of multi events. Because even
yeah,
like I was, what year is this for you? 2000
oh,
and
2002
yeah.
ish.
So I coached in the SEC in '04 and '05, and even in SEC, the decathlon was not like you could get an eighth place point at conference and be
Yeah.
like 6,000 something.
Hmm.
So overall now it's totally. I mean, even in the SWAC, it's totally different. I mean, to score, it's holy crap. You got to be an athlete, you know.
Hmm.
So the bar is low here of that. And that's why we did some things like this, where it's like, "Hey, Kyle, you're a pretty good athlete. Let's throw you in there and see what
Let's do
happens,
it.
buddy." Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I'm not
And this is
diminishing. I'm just painting the picture of where
it's,
the multis were. Yeah.
I get it because I
Did you
think I ended up finishing fifth or sixth overall or something like that.
did you fall in love with the multi? Sometimes that multi can be like, oh man, this is what's been missing my whole life. Or it could have been like, good, I don't ever want to do that again.
Oh no, I had a ball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a ball, man. I'm gonna tell you. And then I was like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner?
Exactly.
So, and it's crazy part is like I'm trying to get ready because I'm like, all right, well now I'm moving into decathlon for the spring, and I went to throw the javelin, and I didn't have a coach to help me
Yeah,
throw the
right,
javelin. I'm trying to
right.
figure it out on my own because we're
Yep,
in SWAC and we don't have a lot of
yep,
coaches, right?
yep, yep.
And I went to throw it, and then I think I stepped in a hole as I threw it, and I tore the muscle straight across my back.
No.
Yeah,
Oh
took me out for the
no.
conference.
Was this your last year or
This was
your
my senior year.
oh
Yeah, I couldn't
no.
even sit up on my own. I had to go to the hospital, and they were like, "Yeah, you tore all your muscles on me." Um,
Oh.
so it took me 3 months to be able to sit up on my own again.
Oh dude, you
Yeah,
did it bad.
yeah. I probably should have had surgery, but I just didn't.
Did you or maybe even do you have animosity towards whether it's the multis or javelin because of that? Because there's you
No,
could easily look back and tell your story of like, man, if that wouldn't happen, I could have done this and this and this and have a little bit of animosity towards it.
no. I'm a firm believer in, and I know this sounds so cliche. Things happen for a reason,
Sure.
and ironically, now my daughter is a javelin thrower. Uh,
Be
so
careful.
no, and she's actually getting pretty good at it,
Yeah,
right?
good, good, good. Good, good,
She's
good.
actually she went to nationals for youth track and field in
Wow,
the javelin.
nice, nice, nice.
So no, I don't have any animosity. I think for a while I was kind of like down on myself, like I felt like I just didn't do enough, or I didn't train hard enough, etc. And that whole thing was kind of like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know,
So terrible way to end your senior year. What are we thinking? We're getting close to graduating to graduation. What are we thinking? Because again, I'm still not hearing. I am going to go. I'm going to go teach psychology and be a track coach or something. I'm not hearing any of that. I'm hearing great experiences and some not so great ones. You know, the injuries and things like that. Where we go? We always know this is a track and field coaching podcast. Eventually, we
yeah.
got to get there. Keep us going.
Right. Yeah, everybody's like, get to the point, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
I'm joking. No, so I graduated and I can't figure out life because I don't know what I want to do here.
Graduate with a psychology degree.
I did graduate with a psychology degree.
And is that one of the degrees where it's boy, if this sounds offensive, please push back
No,
here, where it's worthless without a master's degree, without a second.
yes,
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was one of those where it's like, oh yeah, you got to go on.
yeah,
An undergrad psychology that gives you nothing, basically.
nothing,
Yeah, yeah.
nothing at
That's a
all. So
gross overstatement, but
essentially it is true though,
to
right?
be
Like
in the
you really can't
profession
do
though,
much,
right? Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like almost like a general degree, right? You're like, what do you do with this?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
was gonna go to grad school. I was actually gonna major in neuroscience.
yeah. Holy
So
crap, dude.
yeah,
Okay.
told you I love the brain and love human
Yeah,
behavior,
yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
Ended up doing some grad school, working some odd jobs, and then I ended up in the school system, working as an in-school suspension
Uh-huh.
coordinator.
All down there?
Yeah, all down in
Yep.
Georgia
Okay.
at this point, right? So
Oh,
I'm
whoa,
fast
whoa,
forwarding a little
whoa, whoa, whoa,
bit.
wait. How'd you get to Georgia? We're in Grambling.
Oh, yeah. So I got married at one point,
Okay.
right? And so my first marriage, my first wife, she was from Georgia, and so I
Okay.
moved out here to Georgia.
Got it.
Sorry,
Okay. No, that's
skipped
great.
over that.
That's right. I just want to make sure where we're
Um,
at geography. Okay. So you're in Georgia,
right, I'm
kind
in
of,
Georgia.
not an uncommon story, kind of doing things to survive. I get a
Right.
job. I take a grad class because I'm thinking about going there. Okay. This is fairly normal here. Okay.
Right. So I'm there and I moved to Georgia and I ended up, doing some jobs here and there, working some, and then I ended up in the school system as an in-school suspension
Right.
coordinator.
Any
Right.
thought of going back home?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no. I
That's
I
fair.
did not want to go back. I don't like the cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That would be my excuse, but you grew up in it, so
Yeah. I did never enjoyed it while I was there. Right. We had
amen.
some great snow football games out there in the
It ain't
fields,
worth
but
it.
I just would I didn't want to go back home. There was a
Amen.
lot of stress and trauma back home in my
Yeah,
in my mind.
sure.
Right.
That's a great point. Yeah, we it's funny. We always talk about going back home, but going back home brings other things with it as well. So okay,
Yeah.
and you got used to January and it's still like 60. So
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
good feeling. Yeah.
Then if you spend a summer in Louisiana, you realize you really don't you
There's
underestimate.
heat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
heat.
yeah. Well, so are you when you're in Georgia, are you in Lithia Springs or somewhere
No,
else?
I'm
Okay.
in Douglasville, Georgia at
Yeah.
the time, but
Okay.
I'm
Yep.
working in Fairburn, Georgia,
Okay.
ironically, where I live now, right?
Yep. Yep.
But at the time I had like, spent little spurts trying to help out little kids, and my
Right.
son's born. I'm trying to coach him up and things,
Mm-hmm.
football, all these different things, right?
Yep. Yep. Living life. I get it.
And so I was just really coaching on the side on my own
Mm-hmm.
to, to specific kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of little one-on-ones and, et cetera. So I ended up in this ISS position and I'm coaching track at the middle school, Renaissance Middle School. And we won the middle school championship.
Mm-hmm.
First time we'd ever beaten, they had ever won it because it was a kind of a newer school. So first time they had ever won it,
Yeah.
we actually beat, I don't know if you remember Eric Berry. He's a
Football
football
player,
player. Yeah,
Tennessee.
right. So
Yeah, yeah,
his
yeah.
younger brothers were on a track team, a rival track team,
Okay.
and ironically, because we're all in the Berries are all here, and everybody knows the Berries, man. They's
Sure.
outstanding athletes,
Yeah,
man. I'm just
yeah,
like, oh my God, it's got a whole family of just, what do you feed these kids?
yeah.
So we ended up beating, their team and winning the
Wow.
championship. And the principal at the time for Langston Hughes High School,
Hmm.
before while it was being built, was stationed at the middle school where I was.
Okay.
And so I talked to him. I said, hey, when you go up to the high school, I want to coach track. He pushed me to get my teaching certification, or at least a provisional, so that I could teach in the school.
Right.
He goes up to Langston Hughes High School and brings me with him. I was the very first track coach in Langston Hughes High
Wow.
School.
Is that right?
Yeah. So Coach Kevin Foster, I'm sure everybody knows,
Uh-huh.
the most dynamic, one of the most dynamic coaches in the state, if not in the world. Um, Me and him started working together. I asked him to come over with me there at Langston Hughes, and obviously you've seen the trajectory of Langston Hughes. We of
Yeah,
course
right.
released Lake Gleaton
Yep.
and all the other guys,
Yeah.
but that program, I worked and started that program, believe it or not.
So it's funny. We just had a coach on the podcast that he's in his first year of a new school. Of the school is new, and that
Hmm.
fascinates me because, like any coaching position that we have, 99.99% of them are we're taking over for somebody, whether that somebody was amazing and had the track team on a great trajectory or not, right? There's everything in between. But when you start a new school, there's all these things, like everything is brand new, right? Like when you take over another program, there's uniforms, you might have to buy some more. There's school records, you hopefully break some more. There's maybe some a coaching staff, coach or two on staff for you. Tell me about opening up a brand new school, because I mean uniforms, everything I just mentioned, schedule. You have no schedule.
Right.
There's just nothing. How I mean, that just seems like the hardest thing to do as a track and field coach, but maybe the most rewarding because everything has your fingerprints on it. Everything.
Yeah, and it's hard. And I'll tell you that anybody who's opening up a brand new program, if you're not organized,
You're
there
dead in the
there's
water,
no
right?
way you make it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you even show up to a meet if you're not organized? Right.
You
Right. Right. Right.
don't. And
Yeah.
so, we luckily there was an athletic director. He was a very interesting person. We had a different set of opinions a lot of times, but
Sure.
he at least tried to put me in a position to win, right? But it's like when you open up that school, you got to figure out what the uniforms are going to look like. Are the colors going to match? What is, what meets you're going to go to?
Yeah.
Because you don't really know,
Well, who's
what the
going to be on your
competition is.
team? You don't
Who's
have
going to
any
be on the team?
returning sprinters, just nobody.
Right.
What's the culture? There's zero culture. Well, actually, there's never zero culture, but there is a cult. There's no culture of like positive track and field.
Right. There's nothing. And you're like, hey, what do we have over here? Luckily, I had some really good sprinters,
Hmm.
right? And like really good hurdlers, believe it or not. Like I had like a 14-second hurdler in the school.
Right off the
All
bat.
right. Yeah, right at the back. So they rezoned with another school called Creekside. And so I
Right,
got a
right,
couple
right.
of those athletes that come over. I was like, yeah, right. But it's the culture itself, right? Trying to figure out, hey, who are you? Who are they? Who's this school going to be?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did try to impress, I did work, get the football team out there. I just wanted to talk to them and say, hey, listen, all I want you to do is just give me your best.
Hmm.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, yeah, little Coach Al fingerprints. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And so we had really great relationships. Ironically, now one of my athletes is from those years I was there at Langston Hughes is coaching at Langston Hughes.
Nice. Love
Yeah.
that.
So it's kind of cool. I get to see him and compete against him.
That's cool.
So that's that's
That
how
is
I win.
always like a you know, they have red flags, green flag of like, oh, you have athletes that went on to become coaching.
Yeah.
That's a direct reflection of you, buddy. Like they saw something positive in you. They wanted to go be that. That's so cool, man. I love that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's kind of cool. We talk a lot of mess to each other. We're and all in fun, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
coming to kick your butt. See,
yeah.
but he calls me every night. Hey, Coach, what you think about this? Hey, I've got this
Yeah.
thing going on. What are your thoughts? And so we bounce ideas back and forth off each other.
Would you say
Um,
the straight, the flowing through Coach Al? Those are the
oh
conversations
yeah,
you have with Coach Al, and now you're having them with your former athlete, now a coach, man.
yeah,
Wow,
absolutely,
that's
man.
so
And
cool.
I am a direct result of the way Coach Al coach. And I told
Absolutely.
him when I was able to induct him into the Hall of Fame
Yes.
that it was because of him I am the way I am,
Yeah,
and I coach the way I do because of him. And I try to model and enhance what he taught me,
that's cool.
you know. So
That's
that's how
cool.
I got into, that's how the coaching started. And I've been
Yeah,
kind of on the roll, like the actual full-time rolling coaching, not just the
yeah.
part-time one-on-one here and there.
Right.
Um, but we've just been doing it for years now.
So what do you kind of started this avenue? I want to kind of go down it a little bit farther. You said, hey, if you're starting a new program, a new school completely, you don't even have, your school record is zero because there's been
Yeah.
no competition. You better be organized. What other, since you've done it, and I know, in lots of parts of our country, I know specifically like in Florida and Texas, lots of schools are popping up. What advice? So someone's listening right now, and this spring is going to be their first track season for their school ever. What other advice would you have for someone who's starting from scratch? Not, maybe they have help with their uniform because they have an AD, right? So the AD is helping with uniform, stuff like that, but
Mhm.
more about maybe recruitment for the team and culture building of the team. Because I stopped myself. I said there was zero culture. That's not true because you made a great point. These kids are coming from somewhere.
Mhm.
They either were on someone else's track team and now they're at your school, or they were not on a track team, but they still were at some other school. They bring a culture. Now you have to be the leader of that culture. What
Right.
other advice would you have for someone who this spring is about to be ground zero, never had a track team at this school ever? What other pieces of advice would you have?
The first piece of advice I would give you is to educate yourself on who you are,
Mm,
right? Because the kids are going to see inauthenticity or authenticity, right?
great point.
They'll see both sides of that fence. And if you're trying to be something that you're not and you're not, the kids will see it 100%.
Mm,
So first of all, figure out who you are and then figure out who you'd like to be if it's not somebody that you think is capable or you think it's, not quite where you should be along the way, right? And then once you figure out who you are, then you get to spread that culture to other people
mm,
because the kids are listening to everything that you do. Notice I didn't say everything you say, they're listening to everything that you do.
yeah.
And so one of the things I've noticed is that if you say, hey guys, be on time to practice, but if you consistently show up late, guess who's going to show up late? If you leave after you say you're going to leave, that's another example of, all right, hey, we're leaving at 7:30, but you leave at 7:35. That's telling the kids to
Uh,
be there at 7:35,
right.
right? And it's always these little things. And so one of the questions that I ask all the time, and this is something I use with my athletes, I say, hey, raise your hand if you've ever been bitten by an elephant. And of course, everybody goes, what? No, nobody's ever been bitten by an elephant. And I go, raise your hand if you ever been bitten by a mosquito. And of course, everybody raised their hand. And I said, see, it's always the small things that come and bite you,
Oh,
right?
dude, that's so good.
But it's the truth, right? It's the small things that come and bite us. And so if you're starting out, figure out where the small things are that you know you need to get right. And that's what really establishes the culture, because culture is just what you do on a daily basis, whether somebody's looking or not,
That's right. Yep.
right? And so if you find those small things in whatever it is that you do and get those things right, everything else will fall into place. The
Yeah.
other piece of advice I would give is just make sure you give yourself and others some grace,
Hmm.
right? Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right. Just make the adjustment.
I love
And
that.
as a matter of fact, if you aren't making mistakes, you probably aren't doing it right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
failure is not a it's not a bad thing. People have this like negative connotation about the word failure. We
Hmm.
should be failing. Failure is just working towards something to get better at doing it. And
Right.
I don't. Only time you ever start out on top is when you're digging a hole.
Where do you come? I love these, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dude, I love that. And I would amplify in generalities, not specifically towards starting a new track program at a new school. Although, yes, for that is giving people grace, man. You know, going back to our conversation about social media, et cetera. Boy, if we can't give, I honestly think if you can't give someone else grace, I actually think it's kind of an inverse. It's like you have a hard time giving yourself grace. And I think we need to have that more within ourselves and with our other people. Strangers or not, whether they're in our network or not. I mean, people make mistakes, and we need to forgive them. And thank God, because I don't think I'm here where I am today if someone hadn't forgiven me and given me a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance. I think that's lovely. I love that. Okay, uh, I have to think because I've never had this experience. I've had the experience, like I can still remember the first track meet I went to as a coach. I can remember that. I have to believe the first track meet as a coach of a brand new, no one has ever seen this school on the track. What was the first? Can you remember like what was the first at Langston Hughes track meet that you went to? What was that like? Like the 100-meter dash goes off and it's like boom, school record. Second heat goes off, boom, that's now the school record. Like it's just school record of Palooza, baby. It feels like there'd be so much positive in that first meet, no matter what happens.
ironically, you don't think about that at all.
Is that right?
No, you don't, right? And again, I guess it's maybe because the way we did things, it's like we aren't worried about breaking records. We're worried about becoming the best versions of ourselves,
Mm,
right? And again, if I'm going to give advice to somebody starting a new school, get people around you that have that type of mentality where it's about serving and about your vision to be the best person you can possibly be. Trophies will come and go, medals will come and go, recognition will come and go. But I'm going to tell you the thing that I remember most from high school. Did you hear me once mention a medal that I got
yeah, right.
or a
No.
trophy that I mean, hey, we won a state championship. Yay, okay, cool.
Right.
I couldn't care less. It was about spending time with my friends and my coaches. And you just have to remember, like, it's all still a game.
Mm,
At the end of the day,
yeah.
it's really still all a game. And if they aren't having fun and we're putting too much pressure on them to get all these different accolades, then we're doing it wrong. And
Yeah.
so to that point, the irony is we weren't even thinking about records. At least I wasn't. I'm just like, dude, that was a great run. Let's do it
Yeah.
again, right?
Yeah.
So we were just we were working to compete, right, where we were with what we had.
Yeah.
And I think we did a darn good job of it.
Nice. How many years at Langston? Where do we go next and why?
Yeah, I did 3 years at Langston.
Okay.
And then I went
And
out.
are you, I'm so sorry, because you started with ISS, but you got your certificate. Are you teaching classes now or
I am.
what are you teaching?
I was teaching business. I was
Yeah.
teaching computer networking and computers at the time.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So keep going. So 3 years. Yep.
Yeah, I spent 3 years there and ended up moving on to through some other situations
Uh-huh.
and spent some time in the private sector again, doing going private training again,
Right. Right.
just doing some things, and then ended up coaching football, believe it or not.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ended up coaching football, little league football
Oh,
for a few years. Yeah, I loved it. It was fun. I coached from 6 to 12, man.
Dude, when so I coached high school for a couple of year track, and then coached college, and probably loved high school coaching more than college, and loved college. It was fantastic. Like I said, went to the SEC. It was great. Some amazing athletes, amazing people. Still friends to this day in my life. Um, but I tried when I first got here actually to Gill. A local club team asked me to help, and I tried, and I can't do it, man. I just can't do little kids, man. It's just I don't have the patience. And so now, as my kids, they've grown up. They did all the sports, right? Soccer, football, t-ball, all this kind of stuff, right? Basketball. I made sure after every practice and every competition, I'd go up to whoever the adults were that were coaching, shake their
Mhm.
hand, and tell them thank you. Because I can't do this, man. So thank you for doing this. So when you say, Coach, little kid, I'm like, oh God, I can't do it, but thank God you can.
Yeah.
Or there would just be no organized sports for little kids because I just can't do it, bro. Again, your patience levels just must be out the roof.
Well, you know what? It's not very different than the high schoolers. Now, some people might go, "Oh, you just got to come, you got to explain it a little bit more." Yeah, you do. You have to make it very, very simple. So, reminder is that I grew up and I still work on the auditory processing disorder, and
Mm,
so because of that, I should call it condition or
sure.
obstacle, I teach in a very simple way because I know what it feels like to not understand.
Right.
And so I was just, even though this condition has had me in a chokehold for the longest, it's ultimately caused an effect on how I coach and how I
Yeah.
teach.
Great
And
point.
so I would make things extremely simple to the point where you could understand
Yeah.
one, and if you needed to, where one came from,
hmm
right?
hmm
And
Well,
so,
well, don't they say like I actually kind of learned this through like my mentor, Bush Exnader, like the more simple you can explain it, it actually shows how much you know it as well.
yeah,
Like if you got to hide behind these big words and your fancy degrees, it's like you probably don't really understand it well enough to teach it. What was it? Can you beat a fifth grade? Are you smarter than a fifth grade? If you
yeah,
can't teach a fifth grader this, well, you don't really know it then. So
I
you're
go a
kind of
step further.
you're kind of going from this from not only educational experience, but your own personal experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say, some people say a fifth grader, you know what? If you can't teach it to a 7-year-old or a
Yeah.
5-year-old, do you
Yeah.
really know it?
Yeah.
Right? And
That just
so
makes me feel like I don't know anything in this world, Kyle, to be real frank. Because I can't teach a kindergarten nothing, man.
you could, you could give it enough time
Yeah.
and practice,
Yeah.
you could
That's a good point.
teach
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
always look at it like this, right? Like think about a 5-year-old and how much they don't know,
hmm
right? And so some coaches are like, oh yeah, keep your foot in a dorsiflex position. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, hey, point your toe towards your knee,
Right.
right? Something simple like that. It's like, all right, well, put your foot straight down.
Yeah.
It's simple. Like you don't have to overcomplicate life, and you don't have to overcomplicate coaching.
How come in using coaching as an example, then I'm thinking about track clinics and stuff like that. How come it feels like we're always searching for that dorsiflexion word? And like if someone were to, if two people were to give the exact same talk, and one said, "Yeah, make sure all your spinners, whatever, dorsiflex," and the other said, "Hey, just tell them to put their toes to their knees." The one that said dorsiflexion would get rated higher, like, oh yeah, I learned so much. This guy is a little simplistic, but in reality, the simplistic is probably the winner here, like
Yeah,
in regards to teaching more and understanding more. It feels like we're always in search of the super smart guy.
yeah. And what the basic psychology tells us, if it sounds complicated, it must be true.
Mm,
And nothing
okay,
could be further from the truth. And to be
okay.
honest with you, if you really look at the way the world is developed and the world operates, it is the simple things that rule over the complex. Every complex rule in this world is governed by some simple principle.
Uh, can you give me an example? I feel like I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but
Yeah. So let's use physics for example, right?
okay.
I'll just
Remember, I went to high school and college in Alabama, so let's be nice here, okay?
and I'll just use physics. People can get down to the complexity and the numbers behind physics, right? You can go, well, gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared, and that's how it falls, blah, blah,
Sure,
blah,
sure,
blah,
sure, sure.
blah, right? Okay, great. And then they might ask a very complex question. Well, does gravity have an impact on a feather versus a brick,
Right,
right?
okay.
And they do all these tests, but the simple answer is this. it doesn't matter how much weight it has if you remove the air out of the equation, for
Right,
example.
right, right.
So something that's simple as removing air or putting something in the vacuum allows things to fall at the exact same speed.
Okay, 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 okay.
It's a
All
very
right.
simple example,
Yeah,
right? Or you
yeah.
can be really complex and go, hey, this, and that,
Right,
right?
right,
And you could also talk about Newton's laws, for example,
right,
right? You could
right,
look at all these different criteria and all these different numbers and go, hey, it's simply governed by what goes up must come down,
right, right, right,
right?
right.
That's a simple thing. Or you look at these very simple equations and you might add them and go, hey, this is governed by this. Forget all the quantum theories.
Hmm.
It's still governed by X, Y, and Z.
Okay. All right. That
Right?
makes
That's
sense.
I won't go too deep on it, but
No,
yeah.
no, you're deep enough. Trust me, deep enough. Okay, how do we get to Lithia Springs?
Yeah. So ooh. All right, I'm gonna try to say this. I'm gonna make sure I stay on top level here. So
That's
we
right.
go and I'm coaching, I'm actually coaching football and I'm coaching youth track at the same time.
Hmm.
Doing some things throughout the years. And I ended up when I one of the football teams I was coaching for, um, he wanted to do some training over at New Manchester High School.
Okay.
New Manchester is another school I used to coach at. And so yeah, you could use our track, or I was asking him, can we use their track for youth? He said, you can use our track if you come and coach the jumpers for us. I was like, oh, okay, that's fair exchange. Now I go over there, I'm coaching high school track and I'm coaching youth track. I'm
Okay.
out there on the track for 5 hours.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, so it's high school track from 3:30 to 5:30, and I'm on youth track from 6 to 8:30.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm out there for hours. And this is after working all day.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spent 5 years at New Manchester High School,
Wow.
and over the last 3 years, produced five jump champions,
Nice.
right? Five state champions in the jumps. There's a lot of stuff happening at New Manchester, and then one of the Lithia Springs coaches talks to me and says, "Hey, they were coming from Langston Hughes. It's
Mm,
wild, right?
mm.
One of the Langston Hughes coaches is getting ready to move over to Lithia. I used to coach football with one of the guys. He says, "Hey, man, I'm moving over here. I think it's exciting. It's really peaceful. It's a lot of stuff, just an opportunity. I want to
Right.
give you the program over here. Sounds interesting. I don't really want to leave my kids, but let me think about it." As I've got a really tight connection with all of my athletes. And so I've got one kid's a junior, he's about to be a senior, and he's the reigning state champ right now. He's a 23'5" long jumper, right? He's getting ready, prepping to go 24 high, 25. We're getting ready for the season. And I talked to him. I just said, "Hey Jay, I've got an offer on the table, but I want to get your thoughts on it because you mean a lot to me, and I don't want to make this decision without your buy-in." Out of respect. And so I had a conversation with him. We had a long talk. He said, "Coach, you need to be happy too." Said to me, this is what he said to me. I said, "Who are you, kid?"
That's a mature
I
kid, yeah.
said, "Who are you?" And so I said, you're right. Because I would put others. But I decided to go and say, hey, let me take a chance. I feel like in my heart that this is a necessary move.
Yeah.
And it was a big jump for me. It was a leap of faith. And so I moved over to Lithia Springs this year. And cross country, and we're getting ready for the spring season now.
Yeah.
So this is my first year at Lithia Springs, and of
Got it.
course, this past weekend, because the pits are all crazy. This is kind of cool too. Cleaning up the pits,
Hmm.
getting it ready, things like that. And I went to one of the local, what do you call those? Uh, One of the local retail chains that has a lot of supplies
Hmm.
for home repair and play like that, right?
Yep.
Because I
Hmm.
don't know if we're allowed to say any names
Oh
or
yeah, you can
anything
say
like
whatever
that.
you want. Ace Hardware, Home
Okay.
Depot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went to
They,
Home
they
Depot and
don't
I
they
went to
don't compete
Lowe's,
with
right?
us. I don't care.
So,
Yeah. I
so
appreciate that though. Thanks. But no, you're
I
good.
just
You're good.
wanted to be fair, right?
Yep,
And so
yep. I
the
appreciate that.
the the cool part is, first of all, I'm coaching cross country, but then second, I'm trying to get everything prepared for the spring,
Right,
because the jumpers had need some coaching and whatnot. So
right.
I go to Home Depot. I'm like, hey guys, we're about 4 or 6 inches low. We need about 10 cubic yards
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
sand. Now,
Yeah.
mind you, that's about $2,500, $3,000.
Oh yeah.
Home Depot says they can give us about a pallet, which is about 56 bags. We need close
Mhm.
to 500.
Holy.
So I go to Lowe's. Lowe's, I talk to them. They say, hey, we got you covered. We'll handle it.
Wow.
They just agreed to donate the entire 10 cubic yards of
Wow,
sand
nice.
to the program. And of course, we're gonna do nice little promo for them and say thank you.
Yeah.
But it's gonna keep the kids safe. And the reason why I did that, again, the pit was 4 to 6 inches low. It's probably about six
Mhm.
inches low, lower than what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Last year, before I got there, a girl was jumping in the pit and she tore her ACL.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not gonna have that, and for the safety of the kids. So Lowe's actually was like, hey, we want the kids to be safe. They
That's
agreed
cool.
to it. And so now we're gonna get the sand that we need
That's
for the
awesome.
pit. Not only that, our cross country team is they had a team average boys like on the 24-minute side, right?
Hmm.
And it's new programs really never have cross country
Hmm.
coaching. And the girls were averaging like 29 minutes,
Hmm.
right? The girls now are got a lot faster. I had one girl, she finished in the top 10
Nice.
in our county championship. And then the boys' team average has dropped by 5 minutes.
Wow, dude.
So
That's awesome.
I'm excited. I know. So now I'm at Lithia, and now we've got an opportunity to work and build up these teams in a
Yeah.
major way. And so I think now that we've got the staff, I'm excited about what's going to happen this spring with
Yeah.
women's cross country.
How do you with such a variety of experiences, all the way back to when you were an athlete yourself, how do you, at today's stage and age, work all that into your culture? You know, culture is not something that's static, right? You
Right.
learn some things from other people. You realize like, oh, maybe I was a little too tough in this, so that drops off your priority list. How do you continue to build your culture while at the same time being open that the culture can change in positive ways, obviously.
Yeah, the buy-in matters, right? And again, it's what the little things you represent.
Mm,
And so one of the things that I ultimately made sure of was that I wanted the kids to know that I care about them,
mm,
right?
mm,
All the other stuff, and I actually said this out loud. As a matter of fact, like a week ago, before we walked into the county championship, I told him, I said, I couldn't care less about that county championship trophy or any other trophy or any of these other medals. They're going to be cool, but what you guys are going to remember is sitting here in this circle with each other.
mm.
You're going to remember the smiles, the laughs, the time somebody fell down the steps and you helped pick them up and you laughed while you were helping to pick them up, the time when you sprayed water on each other. You're going to remember all of that
That's
stuff.
right.
And that's what you got to keep focus on. And I told him straight like this. I said, don't miss the point. I didn't understand at first. I said, what do you mean, coach? I said, don't miss the point. It's like this is life right here. Like all the cars, all the houses, all the boats, all the toys, all these things, they fade away, but nothing compares to knowing that you have somebody by your side when it really matters.
Yeah, that's
And you
right.
can't buy that.
That's right.
And so that's why they're like they go above and beyond now. And it's starting with the cross country team, but I also instill in them the belief that Coach Al instilled in me.
Mm,
Guys, you don't have to be afraid of being successful. And sometimes you get bullied for being great, or why are you doing all that? You don't have to do all that. It's okay to be excellent,
yeah.
you know. So
It's sad that our young people need to hear that. Because you're right. You know, there's a reason why try hard is a negative word. It's like, man,
yeah,
literally, we're telling people that try hard at something that's a bad thing. Exactly. It's ridiculous, right? It's like, but young people are hearing this on a daily basis. And yes, they're hearing it from social media as well. That's part of that issue. So then you, as a leader, as a coach, a parent, a neighbor, you need to be that positive side of things. They need to hear people like you on social media being positive and telling
yeah,
them that you don't have to say you're sorry for trying hard. You don't have to say you're sorry for trying to be excellent, etc. Yeah, you're right path there. What are you doing throughout this time with coaching education? And for coaching education, I
oh,
typically kind of put that in two different buckets: formal and informal. The formal is like the USATF level ones, level twos, USTF, CCCA, Altius, things like that. And then the informal is more peer to peer, like you're calling Coach Al back up and like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing this.
mhm.
What are you doing coaching education throughout your career?
I do a little bit of both. So I'm looking actually to work on my level twos. I've done
Hmm.
level 1 so long ago.
Yep.
It's just a matter of trying to match up my schedule with that level
Hmm.
2 class.
Hmm.
I'm constantly doing that, but we've got like, completetrackandfield.com,
Hmm.
listening to different things. I'm also trying to challenge myself. But at the same time, I believe in mentorship. Even if you don't have a direct connection with the
Right.
individual, you can get mentored through books or through videos or whatever.
That's right.
And so I'm always of the mindset I do not know everything. And if I ever feel like I know everything, I'm gonna stop coaching,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't mean I need to put in all these advanced techniques. I need to find things that where are the principles,
Hmm.
right? Where are the principles? And so I'll go on YouTube, and one of my favorite jumps coaches, John Shepherd, he coaches in the UK,
Hmm.
right? He's an outstanding. If you haven't had John Shepherd, you might need to talk to him too.
Hmm. Hmm.
That dude knows his stuff with long jump, right? And so I learned a lot about long jump and triple jump just from him. Then you got Mike Caton or Mike Catton. I can't know his last name, Caton. He's a hurdle coach, right?
Hmm.
He's got the ACE coaching method. I'm like, all right, cool. Then you got Coach Kenny out there at CMU, Central
Hmm.
Methodist University,
Hmm.
right? Like that dude is the hurdle king. So
Hmm.
I'm just like, I watch, and you got coaches like Kevin Foster who's nearby. I can talk
Hmm.
to him and say, hey, coach, what do you think about this, right? Or I'm watching as they're doing things, but I don't take a bunch of complexity and say, let me add this in the mix.
Hmm.
I take what's out there and figure out what works for the team
Hmm.
in its simplest form. And typically what happens is those develop into, or they you uncover principles that don't change. Principles don't change. The techniques do. And so if you have fundamental principles that you abide by, but a better technique to achieve that, what comes about, then we add that. I'm willing to experiment with little things here and here to see what works, but
Hmm.
it's ultimately about the athlete I have in front of me at the same
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So there's a combination for me. There's theory, learning the theory and the conceptualized nature of track and field, and then there's the application or the practicality. What are these coaches doing based on what they're seeing? And let me see, have you experimented this? What is your experiment resulting in? All right, cool. I see that that has some results. Let me see how that works and see if I can replicate that where we are. And I'll do it on a very small scale, usually with, some of my more advanced kids just to see how it affects them in little spaces. And if it doesn't work, then we get away from it really quickly, right? But I'm willing to experiment all the way up into championship phase. And that's how I do things.
I think it was recently, I think it was Steve Magnus on Twitter that talked about that the best coaches actually learn a lot of different systems. And then to your point, what reminded me of that is how you said that. And then they coach to the kid that's in front of them. Because that,
Yeah.
Joey in 2025 is going to be different than Tommy in 2028 and Lisa back in 2023. They're all individual differently kids. So if
Right.
you only coach towards one style or philosophy, that means by just percentage wise, you're alienating somebody, or maybe not alienating is not the right word. You're not able to get them to maximize their performance. They may still improve because you're stressing the body and recovering and things like that. But to actually maximize the performance, they might have needed to be a different system. And because you only follow one system, you miss out on that. Your kids aren't getting as well as they could. I think I went more towards the one system as a coach. I was kind of a one way or the highway kind of guys. Like, the kids still got better because again, stress and recovery and adaptation and things like that. But I bet you there were kids in my system that could have gotten better if I was like, oh, maybe this one needs a little bit more
Right.
tempo or mileage or whatever, depending on the event.
Yeah, it does matter. And you do
Yeah,
have to cater to the athletes in front of you, like I said. And I
yeah,
think that one of those things is it comes with knowing your athlete,
yeah.
right? And if you don't spend time with them, then how do you know what they're capable of, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's hard when we have such limited time. I mean, even if you get a full 4 years, that's not a lot of time.
yeah,
That's hard. So you got to really be paying attention to that person to learn them. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
but
good lesson there.
most people don't ever take the time to do that,
Yeah,
right? So
that's
it's
right.
like, hey,
They're
even
just
it, I'll feel like this, right? 10 minutes doesn't sound like a long time. But if you do 10 minutes a day over 4 years, you've
mm,
accumulated so much time with that athlete,
great point.
right? Versus an hour a month,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
seems like, oh, I feel like no, you're not getting anywhere. 10 minutes a day
yeah,
will get you further than an hour a month will all day
yeah.
long.
I like that kind of the drip methodology, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
it's
I love it.
momentum.
Okay, wrap us up here. I can't have you on the show and not ask you this question. A coach from Georgia. I don't know much about this, but I know everything because of Twitter, right? But I know everything, but I don't know it very deep. and I think I actually might be in attendance this year, so I'm really interested. What's your experience, or what's your take on the changes for the Georgia high school state championship? Now,
Ooh.
one of the cool things, yeah, I know I know see, I don't give these guys and gals no heads up, guys. So he had no clue I was going to actually approach this, and he's free to say no comment, and we'll move and wrap up the show. But it's at the University of Georgia. This is why I'm super excited, because we're actually doing the University of Georgia's new track right now, and they're going to host the state meet, which I think is phenomenal for high school athletes in the state of Georgia to be at this world class. They are building an amazing track complex there at the University of Georgia. So I think that's really cool. And then SECs are just down the road in Auburn, like that weekend. So I'm like, oh, cool. I can just make a cool
Ooh.
little, yeah, exactly. Right. So I'm like, oh, I'll go to the Georgia high school state meet with coaches, and then head down to SECs and do the same. But I know there's some controversy, because it is fairly different than what we've done in Georgia high school state meets in the past. I think we're losing some attempts, and maybe we're losing some athletes that qualify for the state meet. I'm not real sure. Maybe as far as what you know, kind of give us an overview, and what's your opinion on the changes?
Yeah, so that just to clarify, the changes right now from what I see, we're moving from 2 or 3 days of competition to one per
Right. Okay.
class,
Yep. That's right. Yep.
right?
Yeah, that was a big
That
question
is
that came up. Right.
that's tough, right? You're dealing with a concern, and the concern is um, the trials and finals in one day for certain events, which puts a lot more on the legs, and it works out better for teams who have depth, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be honest with you here, and I'm probably going to get a little slack for saying this, but I can't, I've got to be authentic. I think this is a direct swipe at sprint heavy schools,
Oh, okay.
right? Because you've got teams that can score a lot in these shorter sprints, and that takes away from their their potency,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it also takes away from teams that are have don't have as much depth.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got more depth, you can spread it out,
Right.
and you don't have to worry about as many events. But if you've got five talented kids, and
Mm-hmm.
you know they're in the major events where, especially like a sprint heavy, and they got trials and finals plus jumps, because typically your sprinters are your
Right.
jumpers,
Right.
it takes them out,
Yeah.
right? And so it cannibalizes excellent competition, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what they're the idea sounds great. It can be done. It may even be able to be done safely,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we've got several states that do single
Mm-hmm.
events, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
single day.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the concerns again is for me is what impact is it going to have on the athletes, or especially the elite athletes,
Mm-hmm.
who are dependent upon to take on 3 or 4 events
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus the kid who has one.
So it's a 3 or 4 day meet, and so every day is one class. So like 2A is all Tuesday, because that was another part of the once you start, I'm going to say bickering, and that actually kind
Yeah,
of demotes what you just said. I apologize for that word. Then you start finding other things to add to it. It's like, oh, it's during the weekday because of graduation or
yeah,
something like that. Which I'm also like, who cares, guys? Like, whether it's a Saturday or a Tuesday, I know it affects class. I'm not belittling that, but I'm also like, we have other sports that we do on these weekdays. It's your
right.
state meet. We're not asking you to do your conference meet or whatever. But so is that what it is though? So all Tuesday is 2A, and all Thursday is 3A, and that kind of thing, or
Yeah, so I believe there's 2 classes on each day,
okay.
right? Because we have like
And they do the
one,
whole shebang. They do prelims all the way to the 4x4 finals. We're gonna
yeah,
have a state champion at the end of that day. Yeah.
all in one day.
I think it was last year, 2024. I'm pretty sure. I went out and I thought it'd be a great idea, and then I actually had to make good on it and do it. I interviewed one high school coach from every state, all 50, actually 51, because I included Washington, D.C. And we talked about their state meet, how you
Hmm.
qualify, what events you do, and things like that. And it's funny, I can't remember who my coach from Georgia was, but I do remember them saying the caveat of like, well, this is what it is today. It's probably going to change. We're talking about changing it. And so here's obviously what the change was. But I say that to say that, out of 51 state meets, man, was I surprised at how different the pendulum swings,
Yeah.
right? I honestly, when I started that project, Kyle, I thought, dude, it's going to be like there's going to be maybe two or three different kinds of state meets, and that's what everybody does. And oh my God, because of land mass, like Hawaii, they do these meets, and then they have like little mini state meets of their islands, and then they all come together for their state meet. And Montana, that state is a really big friggin' state, east to
Yeah.
west, so it's hard to get everybody at the state meet. New York. Well, no, you Philly and Jersey, never mind. But in
Yeah.
your area, I almost said New York. You're not New York. New York. This tripped me out. They don't even do a team titles for their state meet. No one wins
Mm.
a right? It's
What?
great. Bro, when the coach was telling me this, I honestly, because I don't have time to fact check what people tell. I had to take it on full basis of what they're telling me on these states, right? And this guy, great coach, I shouldn't say, I don't belittle him. He's a great guy, great coach. He's like, yeah, we don't do state titles and we don't do team title. We do, it's all individual. And I was like, all right, bro, look, I was like, either this is the greatest troll in the world. You're making a great joke, and I'm good for that. I love jokes. I go,
Yeah.
or this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in the whole world. He's like, no, I'm dead serious. No, no state titles. No team. You're from section 4. You go run the 400. You won the 400. Good job. No 10 points to your team. It's
Oh,
weird.
wow.
Only state, by the way. No, every other state gives a state team title, like New York should. I say all that to say when I heard about some of the Georgia changes, I was like, oh, guys, we do this. This is quite common. I think Florida does a full day state
Yeah.
meet. Texas does, but a little different because it's finals only. There's no prelims at the state meet. They do those in the districts and regionals and things like that. But here, I do remember this. This is what the Georgia track change reminds me of. NCAA Division One, they made a air quotes here controversial change for TV a few years ago where it went to a 4-day meet. And so for call it 3 hours, nothing but the women are going to be on Thursday for three
Right.
hours. And then on Friday, 3 hours roughly, nothing but men. And then Saturday, here's all the finals for the women. Boom, we're giving out a national title. Saturday, I got my days mixed up there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
It's
it
women,
flips.
men, women, men. Yeah. And it's 3 hours for TV. And so the big, it's only women, meaning so there's not like, oh, the 100-meter dash women goes off and then boom, the men, and then, the women 15. So there's time, built it like, no, there's no time, like 100,
Right.
1500, 200, whatever the, schedule is. Right. And the cry fouls were how are kids going to double? How are they going to go 100? How's a kid going to go 100, 200, 4x1? And to your point, maybe that one of those people are also a long jumper. They're
Hmm.
going to do that all in one day in about 3 hours.
Right.
That is going to kill sprint schools. That is going to, kids are going to get hurt, whatever, blah, 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 right? Dude, we are running faster than ever on the NCAA. We are jumping farther than ever in the NCAA. Kids are still doubling and winning. Kids are resilient.
They are.
These Georgia kids are going to figure, and by the way, so are coaches. You guys and gals are going to figure out how to set schedules up, how to when some kid isn't going to be able to double. You're right. Some kid's
Hmm.
not going to physically is not going to be able to do a 1, 2, 4x1 or something, and you're like, well, we're going to have to make decisions here. 104x1. Same with the distance kids. Do they have some kind of prelims, right, or no? Like maybe not for the two
Only
mile.
only for like the 800, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Because I remember there was something with that. Now, what you are doing in Georgia that I do like, this is hard to agree with. I think for all your field events, they're getting 4 attempts and that's it.
Yes, I have a problem with that,
I,
sort of.
I agree. Well, okay, what's your sort of? Because I do have a
Okay.
problem with that.
So my sort of is 6 jumps is a lot,
Sure,
right?
sure.
However, if you've got time to recover, you're okay,
Right, right,
right?
right,
So I'll give you a prime example. We have 6 jumps, we have prelims and then in the finals, right? For
right,
the last few years.
right,
My kid I was just talking about at New Manchester, he won the freaking state championship on his 6 jump.
right. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, granted, he should have done it before then because he was one of the best jumpers,
Yeah, yeah,
but it took him time to get in rhythm, get the
yeah,
shakes
yeah,
out,
yeah.
et cetera, right?
That's part of the event.
It is. The opposite is that, all right, if you know you got four, there's a push immediately, right? So
Yeah,
I'm kind of on the fence. I get it. I think 6 could be a lot, and it gives more opportunities for kids to get hurt. I
yeah,
don't really see too much improvement
yeah,
over 6 jumps, honestly,
yeah.
because after the
Uh-huh.
fourth one,
Yeah.
The law of diminishing return shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm kind of
then
with you.
it,
I think, sorry to cut you off.
no,
I'm
good.
kind of changing my mind here a little bit. So the reason I said I had a problem with it is because that's not how the sport is done today. Every competition is 3-3. The top nine go or top eight go on to get three more. That's how we figure out
Right.
first through eighth place or whatever, right? However, I do have, I am part of the group that says our sport is not conducted properly in today's world. This is why we can't. It's the most participated sport in the country. When you take boys and girls together on the high school and men and women together in college, nobody participates in any other sport more than track and field. So you're more liable when you walk through Walmart. You're more liable to bump into somebody who did some form of track and field in high school or college than you are to someone who played football or baseball.
Yeah.
Right. But yet we can't get those people who have done our sport to come to a meet. No one's in the stands, guys. Let's be real here, right? So we need to do our sport differently. Uh, so the four makes sense to me actually, because I'm saying like, oh well, why can't everybody just do four? You're still going to have the dramatic guy
Mhm.
or gal who wins on the fourth jump. It's just now the fourth now instead of the six, right? Because
Right.
it's the last one. You're still going to get that build up. But I understand build up and rhythm, but I don't get that in the 100. I don't get to run the 100 four times and then go pop a big fit. Thank God, right? Because you'd be dead. But uh, so yeah, so that one's going to be. I don't remember. My memory doesn't remember. I'm not remembering any other state that does four. I believe when we did that bonus of all the 50 states that everybody did do the traditional 3+3. So that might be a unique to Georgia situation now.
Yeah, there are certain meets we have four. Just most of the time it's over the summer, just in case, we're trying to get kids in and
So
trying to get some
many,
better,
yeah, yeah,
everybody's trying to like boost our rhythm. Might be a tune-up meet or something like that.
right, right, right,
I'm okay with the four. Like
yeah,
I'd honestly rather be just three or six at this
yeah,
point. And if
yeah,
we're going to go to one day, just call it three. Because
it's a
like,
great
I
point.
got a kid, again, he graduated, he's at University of Florida now, Nick
Mhm,
Crosswhite. He was like
mhm,
one of the top 10 jumpers in the country at his time.
mhm.
He had to do six jumps for triple, six jumps for long, and he's
Right,
doing a high jump. I had to
yeah,
sit him down,
yeah,
during the long. All right, do pop one, sit down until the
yeah.
finals. Pop
Well,
one, but not every kid can do that.
we're forgetting the throws though. We're staying very jump
Yeah,
story, but they don't typically a shot putter does not have to worry about I also have to do the 4x1 or whatnot. So but I don't see a world like would it? I don't know. This comes with a question. Would it be weird that the shot put and discus gets six, but our jumpers and get four? Oh, by the way, because now your high jump and pole vault is also unique. There's no four or six. We ain't talking about
right,
that at all. That's
right.
no one's talking about doing two attempts at each bar versus three. No one's we actually did try that, I think, on the professional level, maybe a decade ago, and that was just ridiculous. Yeah, it did not go well. Yeah.
So ironically, the Georgia Park and Rec Association does a state meet, and they do two attempts for the youth.
Is that right?
Yeah,
For the
absolutely
bars?
can't stand it. Yeah, they do two
No
attempts. I
shot.
absolutely hate it. Yeah,
I mean, again, thinking about we need to package our sport differently. It's like, I don't know. On one hand, I don't like that, right? Because I mean, any little thing drops that bar. So you feel
yeah,
like the third attempt is a really important part. But then I'm also like, man, if you want to speed up the event, it's a 50-50. You make or no make. Let's move on.
yeah.
I don't know. I
I
don't
think
know.
they may be moving to three now, but or they may have moved to three in the last year or two. But they were two for a long time.
So what I hear from you is you are cautiously optimistic about I don't hear you writing it off saying it's all garbage, but you have some reservations, but you're going to do what you do best. You're going to adapt. You're going to get your kids to
Yeah.
adapt, and we're going to compete for state titles.
So and that's where I'm at with it. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, the decision has been made.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
We
That's a
have to
great point.
compete, right? And it's an experiment.
You going to
Does
boycott?
this work? I think the bonus part of this is that
Well, say what you're going to say, and then I want to ask you what you meant
no,
about experiment. Yeah, sorry.
I think the bonus part is that you get all the college coaches and all the fans at one location
That's a
during
great
that
point.
week. You get
Because
all the classes because right now we're all
you
segmented.
were also, yeah, yeah, yeah. Michigan does that, and I'm not. I'm like, how do you, as a college coach? I'm like, how would you recruit that? Yeah, I like that. What do you mean it's an experiment? Is this like a 1 year, 2 year trial, or what?
Who knows? Because remember, a few years ago, our state, the way we qualified for state changed. And
Oh,
the state meet how it used to be all boys at one location and
right.
all girls at one location. The girls
That's
used to
right.
compete in Albany and the boys used to compete at Jefferson.
That's right. I forgot
It
that.
was all
Yes.
classes. And then we
Yes.
went to this split where there were four locations,
Oh,
and now
okay.
we're back all at one, but it's all girls and boys in all
Yeah.
classes. So
Okay.
it's, it can
So
change.
I when I recruited, it was the boys and girls. I remember that. I
Yeah.
don't think I knew about the all classes. And on this new where one class all the way through, it's boys and girls together. So there is some
Yeah.
built-in. There's some help for in between.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
got some time.
yeah. Some built-in rest, I guess, if you
Yeah,
will.
and
Yeah.
that's why I said I think it works. It'll work for those classes. What I think is gonna mess up is if the weather is not great,
Oh,
somebody's gonna
yeah.
suffer.
Well, that
I
is
mean, but you could get
always
that
the
either way.
bugaboo with outdoor track and field, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for
So what
sure.
do you do if you get into and you get delayed for 4 hours? Now somebody's
Yeah.
finishing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Welcome to the NCAA. Been there,
Yeah.
done that, done high jump at 1 a.m. before and javelin. Yep. It's never fun for so many reasons. Uh, dude, Kyle, this was a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah.
And I knew it would. Again, just from our I call it our back and forth on Twitter. Just from our experience with Twitter, I was like, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is a dude that I feel like is a lot like me, and vice versa. So I knew this would be a lot of fun. What a great background, man. Really, really proud of you. When we have mentors and important people in our lives, it's one thing to say, I want to live like that person, or I want to live to exemplify that person. You're doing it, bro. Coach Al, you said you got to help induct him into the Hall of Fame. I don't know how long ago that was, but that's the kind of guy I like to do these challenges, and you seem to have already lived up to this. So maybe this challenge has already been accepted and completed. Like I never want to be the person who says great things about someone after they pass, and I haven't said it to them while they're here. Give what do they call it? Giving flowers. So um, I always when someone has such a outsized aspect of their life, I always tell the person, hey, you need to call Coach Al or text them or email. I don't care the modem, but you need to make sure that person knows before they pass away. And then you tell me how great he was. It's like
Right.
that person needs to hear that. And it seems like you maybe already have personally accepted and done that challenge. So I love that. And I think if you're listening, if you have a Coach Al in your life, again, don't wait. Uh, Tell that person, that mentor, that person that you stand on their shoulders that has done so much for you. Tell them how much you love them, how grateful you are. Thank you for what they have poured into you. Because much like Kyle here, you're a conduit. You're a straight. You what they poured into you, you are now pouring into other young people, and I think that's really stinking fantastic. But man, Kyle, I'm just so proud of you, dude. You are positively affecting young people the way you were positively affected back in the day. I love your story. What a twist! The whole Northeast guy going down to freaking Louisiana, man. That threw me for a loop. I loved it, man. I'm just just enamored with your story.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the time and the effort. And here's something also crazy, just to let you know the depth and the breadth of a Coach Al's touch.
Yeah.
Coach Willie Sewell over at Drew High School
Uh-huh.
in Riverdale, Georgia, one of my best friends. He coaches the same way. We That's one of my teammates that
Nice.
we came up together.
Yeah.
And then Coach Clinton Tabb, they call him Buddy, up at
Okay.
Pennsauken High School. That's also my teammate. That's the one I won a
Oh
state
man.
championship with. So now he's coaching at Pennsauken, one of the dynamic state championship programs up there. So it's like Coach Al's. It, there are so many of us that now coach,
Yeah.
and try to make an impact on this next generation. And it's because he took the time to show up for us, and now we try to show up for other people. So
That is
he's got grandkids, I can say now, and coaching grandkids at this point.
that's fascinating to me, that tree of influence that you mentioned there, because somebody coached Coach Al, right? So now Coach Al coached you guys, and you guys are now coaching, affecting young people. You talked about your athlete that you have is now coaching. I mean, it's just I love that tree or that spider web.
Yeah.
Again, that's the positive influence a coach makes. I think I can't remember if we said this on the record or not, but 99% of the kids that we coach, everybody who's listening, that you're a track and field coach, 99% of the kids you coach are not going to go on to become pro, even
Right.
though Kyle probably still thinks he's got a shot. This guy was he was a little delirious on this pro thing, but 99% of your kids are not going to go on to become pro track and field athletes, but 100% of them are going to go on to become moms and dads and business owners and teachers and coaches. And that that positive impact that you make on them, that is the real impact you make on society, because they're going to be the people that everybody else has to interact with. And because of your mentorship, your coaching, your leadership, that makes society better. And Kyle, you've certainly lived that out to this point in your life. What's cool is you're still young, my friend.
Yeah.
You said Coach Al's at Rutgers, so he's still going. You've got a long time in front of you. And so it's going to be cool to watch from the sidelines as you continue to make these positive impacts on young people, man. Really proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And maybe one day I'll get to compete against Coach Allen. That'll be the ultimate fun, right?
I love it. I bet he's ready. He's waiting for you. I just know it. I just know it.
Yeah.
And we are waiting for you to come back next week, man. We'll do this all over again. Just having an absolute blast. We are staring season 7, 2026 in the eye. It feels like it's going to be tomorrow. That will be our, what is that, 7th year. So yeah, we'll finish up 6 years here. I've got some awesome people to kick off January. I already got them in the hopper here. I think you're going to really love and enjoy season 7. We're going to continue trying to bring you value as you continue to listen to us here on the Gill Connections podcast and these amazing stories of these men and women that choose to be track coaches. So thanks again for being here. Thank you, Kyle. We'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.